I'm Jasmine Cornell here at Fox 5 News Live. We're streaming on Fox Local today. Let's get to breaking news, straight to breaking news out of Baltimore. Seeing reports that there was an active shooter situation in the area. This is supposed to be a live picture, and hopefully we can get you that live picture today. But let me just tell you what I know so far. Baltimore police say an officer and suspect have been shot in an active shooter incident in the city. And also let me throw up a banner for you as well. The officer was taken to the hospital, the University of Maryland trauma unit. That's according to police. They have released that information. Officials are also asking the public to avoid the area. So a very scary situation out of Baltimore. If we can pull up that live picture, we will in just a few moments. So here's a picture right now. Can't see what's going on at the moment, but again, we do know that there was a reported active shooter incident in the area, and an officer and a suspect have been shot. We don't know the condition right now of the officer, but we do know he was hospitalized. We also don't know the condition of the suspect or what led up to this shooting, but I'm sure as the hour progresses, we will have some information information for you on this active shooter incident, again, out of Baltimore. Let's bring things back home here and talk about what Fox 5 News is working on today. Our Tanya Mendoza, assignment manager, has a look at what our Fox 5 reporters are working on. And first, this story broke this morning. It was a birthday party shooting, right, Tanya?
Yes, that's right. In DeKalb County overnight at around 2 a.m., we were told that there was some sort of shooting in the 3100 block of Bluebird Lane near Decatur. We sent a crew out there overnight, and our Annie Map is continuing to cover the story, as you can see on your screen there. Big crime scene. What we know from DeKalb County Police is that 3 men were shot outside a party at that location there. One of the males that was shot died. The others were taken to the hospital with moderate injuries. They're looking for leads in this case. Annie Mapp did speak to neighbors. And overnight, I believe we had some sound, an interview with someone who may have been at the home where the party took place, with some sort of pajama party, we were told from people out there, and that they're looking for more information as to what happened. Scary.
Yes, Tanya, people gathering for a birthday party, you don't expect something like this to come out of this. So a very sad ending to this birthday party. And I'm looking forward to see what Annie Mapp can get on this situation. Like you said, no identities of the victims, and a possible motive here has been released, correct?
From what I saw was that they said the investigation's ongoing, and any information that people could submit anonymous tips through the DeKalb County PD app or by texting DKPD to 847411. So I'm not sure exactly that police have released that information yet, but they did say that 3 men were shot outside the location during a party. So hopefully we'll have an update from DeKalb County Police later at 4, 5, and 6, if not earlier.
And we don't know either if what party started the shooting, correct?
That's all I right now have from the
Okay.
DeKalb County Police Department. Annie's out there trying to gather more information. Neighbors were talking. Big crime scene. Someone from inside may have talked, but officially from police, the answer is no so far.
Okay, thank you, Tanya, for giving us an update, telling us what you know about this scary situation there, where people were shot, a triple shooting here at a birthday party in DeKalb County. Now, another story in South Fulton, moving there now. A church there is complaining of something interesting. I've never heard this before. Talk about their complaints here.
Yeah, that's right. So basically, we hear about illegal tire dumping a lot in the metro Atlanta area, but I don't recall anyone ever saying that someone illegally dumped tires at a church. And that's what we have gotten several emails about from the Pleasant Hill Victory AME Church. They reported that over 140 tires were illegally dumped on their property on March 4th. Tyler Fingard, our reporter, went out there this morning along with photographer Aiden Brown to check out the situation. The tires had been, cleared up some, but they had this video that you're seeing right now that was given to them of when it actually happened, and quite disturbing to watch right there. But they needed help. I think they may have even set up a GoFundMe to help pay for the tire removal. But they also say that some grave sites over there were damaged, and they're looking to restore that area as well. So sad. So basically, the tires were dumped at the church's historic cemetery there, resulting in damage to several historic headstones. And that's the story he's working on right now.
Tanya, that is absolutely
Horrible.
terrible. Yes, and looking at the video there, I mean, who would destroy a grave site like that? I'm at a loss of words, to be honest, just seeing that video. But you said that the Atlanta area sees this a lot. Why are people dumping their tires on churches to begin with?
I don't know. I think we see it at different properties. I've never really heard of churches or cemeteries, but we've continued to cover this. I know DeKalb County's had a problem. I really don't know what's behind the motivation to do that. But it is an ongoing problem in the community.
Yeah, I just feel like, doing it, especially at a grave site, it's just disrespectful to the deceased person and their family members. And then also to the church, who has to go and clean up the mess. And I do think Tyler's going to get into to all exactly what happened and how people can help them out with the cleanup in this process. I believe they may have seen some vandalism in that area before, and he'll have those details later. Thank you, Tanya, for updating us on that story there. Moving now to a big special election happening today. Voters heading to the polls to choose who's going to take Marjorie Taylor Greene's seat. This has been a big story that's garnered attention nationwide.
That's right. It's election day in Georgia's 14th district, the special election going on. Voters in Northwest Georgia are heading to the polls to see who's going to take over for U.S. Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who resigned earlier this year. The winner will serve the remainder of the current term. Just a big day out there. We've had we had a photographer in Paulding County getting some interviews out there with people voting there, and then Ray Yadena, our reporter, was out with Jim Zorn in the Rome area talking to voters about why this is so important to them and about all the candidates on the ballot. So 17 candidates on the ballot total, 12 Republicans, 3 Democrats, and 1 Libertarian candidate. So big day over in that area, in North Georgia.
Absolutely. Tanya, we have to get to our next story, and I believe it's weather, but thank you so much for coming on the stream today to talk about what Fox 5 is working on today. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys, let's move on to weather now. Our Jonathan Stacy is joining us in a couple of seconds to talk about what you can expect for your forecast. And it's a pretty warm day outside, Jonathan.
Shaping up to be a pretty nice day after some overnight thunderstorms rolled across the area. These have quieted down and the temperature is warming up. So let's take a look at the board. So you can see here we're at 74 degrees in Atlanta, 77 out east. Athens and Eaton have a pair of 7s on the board. Everybody's rolling into the 70s. But not everybody's getting into the 80s. A couple of our southern and easternmost communities have the best chance. Here's a look at the forecast over the next couple hours. I'm going to keep a rain chance alive, but I don't see a really good opportunity to get any more sizable rain, at least in the short term. It looks like our better chances will sneak in tomorrow night going into Thursday. As for today's high, we'll look for an 80-degree temperature in Covington, Griffin, Thomaston, LaGrange, Eaton. Looking good, feeling good, even warm. Here in Atlanta, I think we'll get close, but probably not. 64 degrees overnight. typically we should drop down into the 40s. 40s are making a comeback, even some 30s, but they're not making a comeback too quickly. Tomorrow will be the warmest day of the week. In fact, we could tie or break the record of 82 degrees for a high temperature. So that's how your Wednesday works out to start and into the middle part of the day, but it's the evening that captures my attention. Another round of storms moving through. The coast is clear right now on Fox 5 Live Viper radar. As we look out to the west, we see another system, but it is Wednesday that is going to likely offer up our next opportunity. While we're focusing on Wednesday specifically for the threat for the return of severe weather, it is really the wee hours of Thursday morning in which there will be a key impact on our state. So there's a risk that we could have some damaging wind gusts once more. Smaller risk for hail, but not a non-zero risk. In terms of spin-up tornadoes, that's also in the picture, but it's for that far northwestern quadrant of the state. Wednesday's pretty dry, but quite breezy to start. Those breezes will send high temperatures into the 80s area-wide. In terms of that front, it moves through the area, and by, I'd say, before the sun comes up on Thursday, you have heavy downpours that are cycling through the area. Once again, they could carry with them a damaging gust of wind. As we get into the weekend, things are going to be cooler to start, and then there's another opportunity for some storms to come through Sunday into Monday.
All right, Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us here to talk about weather and the rain that we're going to see, but also the warm temperatures. Moving now, guys, to our next story. Let's talk about the attacks in the Middle East. We have been following this story since it began. The U.S. military striking more than 5,000 targets so far in Iran, deeply affecting Iran's ability to fight back. And we heard from the Pentagon earlier today. Fox News correspondent Rebecca Castor is here to talk more about what's happening, and she has the latest updates. Rebecca, talk a little bit about the Pentagon briefing today and what was said.
Jasmine, good morning. So over the last 24 hours, we've heard from President Trump and the Pentagon, and they're sharing slightly mixed messaging. We heard from President Trump. He's saying that the war is going to be complete very soon. He even said it's pretty much complete. But then today at the Pentagon press briefing, we had Secretary of War Pete Hegseth say that today is going to be the most intense day of strikes on Iran. And he says this is because the U.S. military is still focused on three objectives: to take out Iran's missiles and missile launchers, destroy Iran's navy, and eliminate any remaining nuclear capabilities.
Rebecca, thanks for giving that update from the Pentagon there. Some concerns over the Strait of Hormuz and Trump's warning to Iran if they stop the flow of oil in the region. Can you talk about those concerns there?
Yeah, the Strait of Hormuz really seems to be where the focus is shifting right now. This is a critical waterway where about 20% of the globe's entire oil supply flows through daily. And since these attacks began, Iran has threatened to target any ship that attempts to go through that passageway. So it's causing a lot of commercial vessels not to flow through that passageway right now. That is why overnight, President Trump put out a warning on social media telling Iran if they continue to block the Strait of Hormuz, that the U.S. military is going to hit back 20 times harder than they have so far. So compare that with Pete Hegseth's comments this morning. Sounds like maybe that operation might be underway.
Yeah, Rebecca, and before you go, because I know we have to let you go soon, breaking news yesterday, Iran selected a new supreme leader. We know that Trump has spoke about this. What are some of his comments and reactions to the new leader?
Yeah, well, President Trump said that he was disappointed to see that the late Ayatollah's son, Mojtaba Khamenei, is now going to be the new supreme leader. He is not a fan of this. The son's positions are very similar to his father. But he's not putting talks off the table yet. He told Fox News this morning that talks are still possible. However, he doesn't really necessarily see the need that he has to talk to the Iranians because of how successful this military campaign has been so far. At the same time, what we're hearing from Iran's leaders is they pretty much have taken talks off the table at this point. And Iran's foreign minister said that they're going to keep the fighting going for now for its people, for the Iranian people. So we'll see how that develops.
Yes, Rebecca, thank you so much for joining our live stream today to talk about the updates here out of the Middle East. That's our Rebecca Castor, guys, joining from Washington, D.C., giving us an update on the Iranian attacks coming up today. The story so many people have been talking about all over the country. Magic City Night at next week's Hawks game has been canceled. And so we'll discuss the backlash, what people have been saying about this, and what fans can still expect with the AJC reporter. Welcome back, guys. NBA says no to Magic City Night. Has a lot of people talking this event here. Let's go ahead and bring in AJC reporter on the Hawks, Lauren Williams there. She's in to talk about this decision, the NBA's decision to cancel the Magic City promotion. Hey, Lauren, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Jasmine. Thanks so much for having me.
So, Lauren, first, you've been covering this. What reasons did the Hawks organization give for canceling Magic City Night?
Well, just to be clear, it wasn't the Hawks that canceled Magic City Night. It came down from the league. They kind of took a look at, some of the blowback that was happening across the country in terms of the Hawks having this night. And, several players spoke out about not having this night, not being appropriate for what the league is trying to do in terms of, its promotion of being for everyone. And so they ended up deciding to cancel it by listening to several of their stakeholders. And, that ultimately led them to having the Hawks, nix the night altogether. But, the statement that Adam Silver issued yesterday, it just came down to just it being something that could be for the broader NBA community.
Now, I'm going to take you back a little bit to when this decision, not the decision to cancel, but to have this. What made the Hawks decide to have this Magic City Night?
Yeah, I mean, when you think of some of the big cultural institutions in Atlanta, Magic City is one of them. You think about the lemon pepper wings, you think about, the part that it played in hip hop culture. And so I think it's huge that the Hawks want to connect with the local community, especially with an institution that means so much to so many of the residents that live here. They had T.I., who has, ties to Magic City, coming in to perform at halftime. And Jamie Gertz was a huge part of the production of that 5-part documentary that celebrated, how much of an iconic institution it is for the city. So I do think that it had a big part in trying to allow the team to connect to a wider audience, people who may not necessarily pay attention to NBA basketball, but might be into some of the big things that happen at Magic City.
Thank you so much for sharing, Lauren.
Yeah.
My next question for you, I know people have been talking a lot about this Magic City night. Have you
Mhm.
heard any reaction? I'm sure you have. What kind of reaction have you heard since the cancellation?
I've seen online quite a mix of reaction, with some people, commending the NBA for stepping in and, nixing the night altogether. Some people are not quite happy with them, kind of stepping their toes into what is supposed to be a celebratory moment for the city, with, shining a light on the institution. A lot of people spent a lot of money to take part in Magic City Night, whether that was the hoodies, whether that was, coming from out of town to come to the game just to see how, the team would pull off this one-time collaboration. And so it's been a mixed bag. I would say I've probably seen more people, frustrated with the night being pulled altogether than, some of the people who, were a big part of wanting it to be shut down.
And Lauren, I have so many other questions to ask you, but our time is running short here. I do
Yes,
want to
sure.
ask, for people who want to attend still, what can people expect now that Magic City Night is not happening?
Yeah, I think that they can still expect TI to perform at halftime, and I'm sure that they'll still be able to enjoy some of the culinary things that Magic City are known for when they attend the game.
Lauren, thank you so much for talking about this decision. Again, a lot of people have been talking about it, so I know people are just, excited to hear what you have to say as you have been covering the Hawks. Uh,
Thank you. Thank
yes,
you.
so thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Absolutely.
Guys, that is Lauren Williams there. She is the AJC Atlanta Journal-Constitution Hawks reporter there. So she had some good insight on that Magic City promotion cancellation. Let's talk about something else, from basketball to soccer here. As you know, we are getting closer and closer to the World Cup here in Atlanta. Kevin Egan is an Atlanta World Cup host committee ambassador. And today he spoke with our Natalie McCann about changes we are already seeing before the tournament.
We really are getting so much closer, just a couple months.
It's going to fly in before we know it. And I think we're starting to see those changes around the city now. The grass on the field at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, that's there to stay until after the World Cup. And it's a big deal. We've got the US national team coming in here in a few weeks' time. The grass, they needed to prepare it at the stadium. One of the most fascinating things is they have Georgia grass in there right now. But for the FIFA World Cup, they're actually bringing in cold weather grass, because Atlanta's a dome. I know, Atlanta's beautifully air conditioned. The stadium is the best in the world. So you're going to have probably 70 degrees inside the stadium, so or lower, excuse me. So they're going to need cold weather grass from Colorado in for the FIFA World Cup. But for now, this is the grass that played out beautifully. It's only been down for 10 days for Atlanta United's home opener at the weekend, and it's something you're going to see a lot, going forward here for the stadium. It's obviously difficult to do this all year round, given that the Falcons could play on a Sunday, Atlanta United play on a Saturday night. The amount of concerts and events that are hosted at Mercedes-Benz Stadium make it incredibly difficult to have this all year round. So we've got an incredible turf field, but for the World Cup it will be grass.
Okay, let's talk. You mentioned Atlanta United 0-3 to start the season. What's going on?
Worst start in franchise history, and this comes as a big shock to me because Tata's back, Tata Martino.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll say about Tata is he's incredibly detail-oriented. He demands an awful lot from his players. They lost at the weekend in narrow fashion against a really good Real Salt Lake team. Now they face the Supporters' Shield winners from last year, which is the team that finished top of the standings in Philadelphia. But they're also off to an historic low. They also started 3-0. So it's at the Benz this weekend on that grass, and I think Atlanta United are going to turn a corner here big time, because the talent is there, the coach is there, the fans, as we know, are there. And it's really important now, as the World Cup approaches, that Atlanta United get back to winning ways. ways, but I think they're on the cusp.
Okay, let's talk about the U.S. men's national team and then playing here against Belgium and Portugal, I believe, right?
Yeah,
Later
fella
this
called
month.
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
He's injured at the moment. Hopefully he's fit to go. But this is huge for the U.S. men's national team to be here. Now the epicenter of U.S. soccer is in Atlanta. Atlanta's become the home for U.S. soccer because obviously the Arthur M. Blank training facility that Arthur Blank brought to Atlanta, the NWSL side on the way, Atlanta United as well. But the national team is coming here to play the 2 final games before the roster's announced for the World Cup. So this is, Natalie, the last chance for these players to really say, hey, Mauricio Pochettino, I'm your guy. I need to be part of this roster and go and prove yourself against 2 of the best in the world. I mean, Belgium will be a contender. Portugal are favourites for some to go and win it all. They've never won a World Cup before, and this is their big chance with Cristiano Ronaldo in his final World Cup.
Okay, so are we kind of waiting to see if he will be making the trip, Ronaldo, to Atlanta? I mean, because remember when Messi came that first time and all the buzz that was happening? I feel like that's going to happen too.
100%.
You know?
And everyone wants to see Ronaldo.
Yeah.
I mean, this is his last dance, if you like. And Cristiano has been arguably the best, if not one of the best players that the game has ever seen. So I think he'll probably do, he'll do everything in his power to be part of this last run before the World Cup. But it's a hamstring injury, I believe, and it's going to take a few weeks. But hopefully we see Ronaldo here. If it's not Ronaldo, it's a litany of superstars that we'll see come here.
Stacked team.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's do our soccer lingo.
Let's do it.
I mean, we talk about this when we know your segment's coming up and the previous words and if we remember. So I'm excited to see.
Well, you're getting good, right? You know what a nutmeg is now?
Yeah.
You kick it through the legs, you run around them. So we're doing this each and every week here on the show to make sure that the soccer lingo, and I've got so many of these, by the way, we could do these for another few years. So here is our first soccer lingo today, which is a howler. A howler. Any idea what that is?
A really annoying fan.
No. Good guess, though. I like what you're thinking. No, a howler is an absolutely shocking mistake and a blunder, usually by a goalkeeper, right? That's you. We've got Chris here who's watching on laughing because he's a big soccer fan here in the studio. A howler is usually like, I don't want to throw him under the bus. I'm a great fan, but if Brad Guzan made a big mistake for Atlanta United over the years on commentary on Fox Sports South, I would have been saying, "Oh, Brad Guzan with a howler." So it's usually a goalkeeper in this scenario, which is a bit harsh.
Okay. And there was another one.
A sitter.
A sitter.
A sitter.
Okay.
Not talking about a babysitter, so you can go to the game.
That's where I was thinking. Maybe like you know how we say cupcake games? Maybe like an easy.
No. You're way off.
I'm off?
Easy, though. You're on the right path with easy. It's an easy chance. So, for example, if I square the ball to you and you're right next to the goal, Natalie, and somehow you fluff your lines, somehow you miss the goal, you've missed an absolute sitter.
Oh, like you had it right there, but I should have made it and I didn't, kind of thing?
Exactly. So if you'll hear commentators say this on games on Fox during the World Cup, during the summer, oh, he's missed a sitter, or the keeper's had an absolute howler, you now know.
I know. Yeah. Okay, Kevin, that was awesome. Thank you. I love this segment.
All right, guys, that was our Natalie McCann speaking with Kevin Egan there, a part of the Atlanta World Cup committee about Atlanta's preparations for the FIFA World Cup this year. Another fun event we're talking about happening this weekend, though, and not everyone will go home with the gold, but they will receive some good gifts, and we'll give you an inside look when we return. back, guys. We continue to follow breaking news this afternoon. We know that there was an active shooter situation in Baltimore, and an officer and the suspect were shot. Let's get into what police are saying here. Again, this happening in Baltimore. An officer and suspect have been shot in this active shooter incident. The officer was taken to the hospital. We don't know his injuries right now, the extent of his injuries, but hopefully we can get some further details on this. The suspect also shot in this case here out of Baltimore. We don't know the extent of their injuries as well and what led up to this situation. The public is being told to avoid that area if they can, just so authorities can investigate. If we can bring up a live picture, hopefully we can in the next few seconds here, but on the scene out there, I can see to my side here that there's a line of police cars, a line of officials out there at Baltimore investigating this situation. Again, an officer's shot. So this is a big situation here. Both the officer and suspect shot. An active shooter incident is scary for anyone involved. So hopefully we can get some more details on this. Again, the officer was hospitalized and taken to the shock trauma unit, according to police. And as far as the suspect, we're unsure. Any fatalities, we don't know. We don't know if the suspect was shot and killed, but hopefully we can find some information soon on this. Again, police there telling the public to avoid the area. Let's move over to New York. There's a breaking situation happening there that we're following. A suspicious package there. So here's what authorities are saying about this. Several streets close as the New York Police Department searches this area and urges residents to avoid the area. This is on Carl Schurz Park. This breaking out this afternoon. A suspicious package was found in the area on this street here, and it was immediately adjacent to a Gracie Mansion. So a little bit about some of the areas that are being shut down, that are being searched. East End Avenue between East 85th and East 87th Street, as well as East 86th Street between York Avenue and East End Avenue. Those are all closed to cars and pedestrian traffic. And that street information, you know, I don't know much about that area in New York, but just wanted to give that to you just in case you're from that area and you know that area. Again, suspicious package found here. New York Police Department investigating. Another scary situation, but different from the Baltimore situation. We don't know what the contents were in this package, but again, authorities are investigating there. Let's move back home and talk about some of the top stories here. A local school is honoring a 7-year-old who was shot and killed. And we've been talking about this story for at least a week now. 7-year-old Zoey Price and her mother were shot. Now, Zoey, she was actually killed. And here's a look at that ceremony there. A devastating story. Now, this happened... The shooting happened late last month, and we do know that 2 teens were arrested. There's Zoey there, but a little more about the memorial here held. A local charter school gathered this afternoon. This just started, the ceremony, or just getting ready to start. Time was 1:30. It was scheduled to start. So, and it's being held by a local charter school called Slam Atlanta, and they're hosting this again for 7-year-old Zoey Price. Her life was cut very short, and she's being remembered by her teachers. We can see they're looks like they're still getting set up there, but she's being remembered by her teachers and peers as a funny child and a dedicated cheerleader. We know that several memorials have been held for Zoey Price. And to just to remember her life, guys. Very young, 7 years old, a victim of murder. So Zoey had recently been named the school student of the month, and she was a regular participant in basketball at a local recreation center. This ceremony that is happening right now will feature the unveiling of Happy Corner. It's a dedicated reading space designed to reflect Zoey's joyful spirit. Fulton County Commissioner Marvin Arrington Jr., he's scheduled to serve as the guest speaker and speak at this event. Again, this tribute comes as the community continues to mourn her death. According to Atlanta police, Zoey Price was inside her home on Tiger Flowers Drive when two older teenagers opened fire on the residence, killing her. Those two teens charged in this incident, that's 19-year-old Preston Smith and 17-year-old Stephen Richardson. They are facing some charges here. Authorities say they began shooting at the home following a verbal argument on the phone with Zoe's teenage brother here. And those two teens are in custody still, charged with murder. Again, memorial service underway for Zoey Price, 7-year-old. She was shot and killed while she was inside her home. Her mother as well was shot as well, but is still alive. Let's move on to our digital desk. They have some stories that are trending online. These are stories that you guys have been clicking on the most. So let's bring in Sam Daniel this afternoon. And first, we have someone's being charged here, Sam, with escaping a detention center. Talk about this and where is this happening?
Yeah, so Jasmine, this is in Raven County, which is in far north Georgia. And the inmate, it's kind of an odd story. You hear about an inmate escaping prison, and then maybe they're later tracked down, maybe they're not. In this case, the inmate actually went back to the prison himself. So this inmate is Richard Jason Crump. He's 45 years old, according to the Raven County Detention Center. Yesterday morning, around 8 o'clock in the morning, the sheriff's office there says that Crump walked to a spot of the yard outside that was blocked by a tool shed. He used that tool shed to take cover from the cameras and from the guards that were looking, and he was able to climb over the fence and out of the jail. So he escaped. The prison went on, or the jail went on lockdown. The sheriff's office started investigating, and they later saw Crump in the woods between the Raven County Recycling Center and the detention center. He was walking around. Deputies saw him. He saw the deputies. So he decided, well, you know what? I'm not going to let them catch me. He went back to the jail, climbed back over the fence in front of the tool shed, where he climbed out of the prison yard, according to officials, and then just went back to living life in the jail.
Sam, this is so crazy here. We do often hear of inmates escaping detention centers just in general, but what a bizarre story out of Raven County. Before we let you go, I want you to talk about one more story about Senator Cory Booker. What's going on with him? I know he's trending online.
Yes, so just like it is for Senator Jon Ossoff here in Georgia, it's an election year for Senator Cory Booker. He represents New York. He is also the Senate Minority Leader, so the head of the party for the Democrats in the Senate, and he has just proposed a new bill. He is calling it the Keep Your Pay Act, and the whole goal of it is to eliminate some of the taxes that we pay by allowing more write-offs. So what it does right now, if you file taxes, I'm not super great at it. This is like my 4th or 5th year doing it by myself. We have something that's called a standard deduction, which just means every person, every couple automatically gets to deduct this amount from their taxes. Booker wants to up the standard deduction to $75,000 for married couples. So that's a lot of money, right? In some cases, that's one whole paycheck that married couples would then just get to standard deduct. There's also what he calls a proportional deduction for single households. He hasn't quite set the exact amount for that, but that means $75,000 deduction each year off of your taxes. If you make less than that, you will get to deduct the amount that you make. You make more than that, only $75,000. He also has increased the child tax credit. So it's up to $3,600 per child ages 6 to 17 in this bill. $4,300 for children under 6. And then along with a $2,400, what he's calling baby bonus, the year that a child is born. So when your child is born, you can deduct something like $6,700 from your taxes. So it's a big bunch of savings for people if it goes through. Right now, the Republicans are still in control of the Senate, so this bill does not have to go to the floor. We're not sure if it will. But like I said, Cory Booker is in an election year in New Jersey. There's two Republicans that are kind of neck and neck with him right now. So I think he's trying to find ways to stand out.
Yes, absolutely. It does sound like he is. Thank you so much for breaking this down. I'm interested, and we'll be looking at that election to see what happens. And also, I'll have to do some more research myself to see what people are saying about his proposal here. We do have time for one more story. Some that's on the Beltline, a popular Atlanta Beltline brewery. It's trending. So what's happening with that brewery?
Yeah, it's sad news for those of us that like to go to the Beltline and relax after a long week, have a drink. It's a great weather time of the year, but Brewdog Atlanta says it is closing. So it's a Scottish craft brewery. It's off of Krog Street. It just announced that it's permanently closing, and it's been in the Krog district for several years. So it's kind of a sad end for a lot of people who love the beer there. The owners didn't give a specific reason for why they were closing, but they did say they were looking at how it could help have the best experience for its company moving forward. Brewdog did just sell its European, specifically its brands in the UK, to Tillery Brands, which is the parent company of Sweetwater Brewing Company, which is based here in Atlanta, if you know beer. It's unclear if the brand that owns Sweetwater is going to take over the brewery here, but it did say it's been eyeing some of Brewdog's American properties, just didn't specifically say Atlanta. So there's hope. It might still stick around, for patio season, but we'll see what happens when it comes time to be out and about on the Beltline. Hopefully the weather's a lot better than it is today, so you can get out and enjoy it.
Sam, thank you so much. I hate that I missed this restaurant. You said it was a popular staple here on the Beltline, but thank you so much for joining us here to talk about what's trending on our website. Guys, your time is 1:43. When we return, we'll take a look at how some students are spending their spring break a little differently. You don't want to miss this story. right, guys, welcome back. Howard University students are spending their spring break giving back right here in Atlanta. 50 volunteers partnering with local schools and nonprofits to support youth wellness and improve access to food and housing. Our Chris Rosenthal is live and has more on what they're doing. Chris, I think this is an amazing initiative. I spent many spring breaks in college traveling to other states to give back and rebuild communities. So I'm excited to hear what they're doing in Atlanta.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a really special way for them to, like you said, spend their spring break. There's about 50 students come down from Howard University for this alternative spring break program. It's actually part of a much larger program, about 1,300 students across the country at about 22 different communities participating from Howard University participating in this spring break program. I'm at the actual Boys and Girls Club here in Atlanta, where some of these students just showed up and are going to get ready to work on some projects with some of the youth here. They're going to work on some gardening projects and really engage with them. I was also with these students earlier today. They were at local elementary school, William Boyd Elementary School. They were reading to students and working on stocking their food pantry, working with some of the students in their STEAM program, talking with them, helping them with the work that they were doing. Really just kind of fanned out all throughout the city. These are just a couple of the many locations they're at. And I spoke earlier with Taylor Vander with Howard University. She's one of the students helping coordinate this, all about what this event is about. Let's listen in.
I come out here and spend your spring break here in Atlanta, giving back.
We just kind of wanted, that's what we do at Howard University. Our motto is in truth and service. And so Howard University Alternative Spring Break is a way to do that on a large scale. We go and serve in 22 communities. It's 1,300 students. And so we just love to give back. And so that's what we're doing here in Atlanta.
And, this morning we're here at William Boyd Elementary. And talk to me about what you guys are doing. What are we looking at here?
So right now they're reading to students. We're also assembling different calming corners to create in empty spaces throughout the school. We're also assisting in classrooms. This isn't everybody. Some students are in classrooms, helping out in the food pantry, the clothing closet. So just a lot of projects around the school.
And yeah, you got students that are working in some of the other sections of the school. Let's go take a look here. So, but it takes a lot to kind of put this on, huh? This isn't something that goes on at the last minute, huh?
Definitely not. We've been planning since the summer for HUASB. So it's definitely a long process, but it's for sure worth it.
Gotcha. And so we're going back here. Tell me what we're seeing here.
So we also have students organizing in the clothing closet. There's different toiletries and clothes for the students. So we're just trying to make it easier for teachers to access and use.
What does this mean for you guys? Is it kind of an honor to be part of this?
It for sure is an honor. This is my 3rd year serving with ASB. It's just been a great part of my Howard experience, and so that's what we do. We serve. We answer the call to serve. So I'm excited to be a part of something that's been going on for 32 years. So it's really amazing.
Yeah, 32 years, it's a long time. They, like she was saying, they work all year to really prepare for this, and a lot of logistics go into this, travel logistics to go to all these communities, including here in Atlanta. They're going to be fanned out at a bunch of different locations all throughout the city, from this Boys and Girls Club to various schools and Atlanta Community Food Bank, other organizations, just helping out and giving back during this spring break week.
Chris, thanks for sharing information about this. You said that this is part of a larger program. It takes me back to when I was in college, and we had a program very similar to this, alternative break trips. And eventually, after I served as a volunteer, I ended up getting to lead a trip. So it's such a great initiative, giving students something different to do, the opportunity to give back during their time away from school. So I thank you so much for sharing this information about the story.
Yeah, and like you said, this is also led and planned by the students as well. So yeah. It's a full circle thing.
That is true. It is led and planned by students. That's how we did it as well. Chris, thanks for joining us here, guys. That's our Chris Rosenthal reporting on how Howard University students are spending their spring break, choosing to engage in community service. Let's move on to a different story. We told you earlier the Academy Awards are this Sunday. So exciting for many people, many artists and entertainers. So we'll be watching to see who takes home the gold. But there are some backstage gifts that will be handed out to celebrities who don't take home that gold. Earlier, I got a sneak peek of this year's Oscar swag bags, and let me tell you, these gifts are nice. Thank you for joining us. Such an exciting weekend. The Oscars happening on Sunday. So I'm looking forward to watching it. And I know you're looking forward to sharing information about all the goodies you have on your table there.
Indeed. This is our 24th year putting together this extraordinary gift bag for the top acting and directing nominees. It's something we do independently of the Academy because it kind of sucks to lose. So if these top nominees go home empty-handed on Sunday, they're going to still get $350,000 worth of consolation swag. Over $200,000 of it is in the form of trips around the world. This particular box is worth $30,000. It contains a trip from Essence of Dreams to Costa Rica. This is a private luxury villa. It sits on top of a mountain. You've got views of volcanoes, the Pacific Ocean, mountain ranges, but regardless of which trip they choose, we're even throwing in the luggage for them from Asia Luggage. This is a Japanese premium luggage brand. I'm obsessed with this sleek and chic kabuki theme design that they have. And we actually pack all the gifts in these suitcases for deliveries, which started yesterday.
That sounds pretty cool. Some awesome gifts there. I hear some great vacations for the nominees. Now, listen, I just want to go back a little bit. What got you involved? What got your organization involved as well with creating these gifts for the nominees?
Well, we had been doing the official Grammys gift lounge for years. We now do the Emmys gift lounge. The Oscars doesn't have an official gift bag. And so we decided, what can we do that would stand out and be a little different? And we decided to start these consolation gifts as a concept because, you know, I get bummed if I lose a tennis match at the club and it doesn't even matter for anything. So let alone when you miss out on an Oscar, it's a big bummer. So we wanted to make sure that they felt consoled and distracted with lots of fun and fabulous gifts.
That sounds good. And how long does it take you all to plan and create these gift bags?
We work on these year round, so we've actually already started on the 2027 gift bag because certain clients missed either the cutoff or their category was already sold. I'm always looking for great things, so one of my go-to personal skincare products that I recommend to everyone in my life is from Danacera, their D22 tonic and their CeraBalm. If you add only one product to your skincare regimen this year, make it the CeraBalm from Danacera. Danacera is also giving the nominees the chance to skip the waiting list for their Sculpt and Lift facial at their Rescue Spa locations. I was sent to these OOFOs. These are the most incredible slides. So these are about comfort and relief and stability. I've been wearing them for all my interviews when you're on your feet all day, or if you're like these stars and you've been walking red carpets for weeks and your feet need relief, we've got them covered with OOFOs.
Thanks for letting me know, Lash. So you're showing these gifts here. What makes a gift Oscars gift bag worthy?
We are always looking for different things. It's not just the price tag. Yes, we do have a $65,000 trip to Ibiza from Con Nemo, but it's also about the things that are just enjoyable. So this little bag of True Fruit freeze-dried fruit-covered snacks with chocolate, only $5. So I think they're delicious. I think it makes a great snack, so it doesn't have to be super pricey. These hydro jugs, if you're looking for hydration on the go and in style, I love that they have this glitter top coat on this particular one. These are a viral sensation because they're leak proof and you can stay hydrated on the go. Also, it's about health and wellness. These folks run themselves ragged, so we want them to stay healthy. So we've got Glymate doing their sugar balance product as well as their gut health restoration, and Dr. Simi doing these delicious chewable gummies and multivitamins.
Oh my goodness. Question for you. Can you just make me a gift bag? Does that work? How do I sign up?
Hey,
I'm
we
not
should
an
definitely
Oscar
take
nominee, but
you can either do it that way or you can get nominated for an Oscar, whichever is easier for you.
Maybe one day. Maybe one day. How many items eventually get in the bag?
Usually we have around 50 brands who participate each year. Some of the brands provide multiple items, but it's always dozens of interesting and different items.
Now, do you all get to see the faces of the celebrities when they receive their bags?
I don't personally do the deliveries, although I'd happily deliver Jacob Elordi's and Timothy Chalamet's and Michael B. Jordan's to them.
I know that's right.
But my delivery folks, whenever they do take it to the front door and the celebrity actually answers the door, they're like, "This is all for me." It's like multiple suitcases, or you know, it's really, really fun to see the wow reactions. Rachel McAdams was actually in her manager's office when we were delivering there one year, and she saw the suitcases rolling in, and she stuck her head out of the meeting room. She's like, "Is that for me?" So what's great is that when these nominees are nominated, they know about this particular gift bag.
Oh, that's so cool. Well, and it's so great. I know you're a busy person creating these bags. Can you tell me about how many bags you all create per year just across the board?
Well, for this particular one, we only give out 25. So it's the top acting and directing nominees only. For some of the events like the Grammys that we do, we give out like 140 to all the presenters and performers. So it really just depends on the event.
Now, okay, side note here, do you ever keep any of the bags yourself?
Oh my gosh, I have to test all of this stuff, girl. So I make sure I try each and every item. I'm going to be going to Essence of Dreams in Costa Rica to check it out in a few weeks. So test marketing is very, very important to my job.
Oh, that's so much fun. Lash, it's been a joy talking to you about this. I think it's so great that you all give awards to and give these gift bags to the nominees, people who don't actually win, because not everyone can win, but it's nice to see you all giving out these gift bags, because everyone is talented, especially if you make it to the Oscars. That's a win within itself. Lash, thank you so much.
Is.
Say that
Thank
again.
You. I said it absolutely is. And I think this year more than ever, all of the nominees are so worthy, and so many of these categories can go either way. So it's going to be very important to console them after Oscar night.
Yes, that's true. Well, we're looking forward to seeing the Oscars. Thank you so much again for joining us to talk about this initiative that you all have.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
All right, guys, it's Lash Ferry there, giving you a sneak peek at the swag bag given to Oscar nominees, those who don't take home the gold. Thank you for joining us. Your time is 1:57. We'll see you in just a few minutes with our Ariel Onstadt. She has a look at your top headlines.
Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being here with us at 2 o'clock. We've got a lot of news to cover today, and I want to start with a breaking situation that's unfolding in Baltimore, Maryland right now. We're learning that an officer has been shot, and this was an active shooter incident that occurred earlier today. Around 12 o'clock, we got information about this, and Baltimore police say an officer and suspect are those who have been hurt in this active shooter incident. We don't know how or why this happened, what led up to it, but so far we've learned that the officer's been rushed to the University of Maryland's shock trauma unit. At this point, one of our stations in Baltimore, WBFF, is actually reporting that that officer is expected to survive. We don't yet know how the suspect is doing in this situation, but the public was told to avoid the area. The email left, Associated Press says they left an email with the Baltimore Police Department seeking more information, and that has not yet been returned. But as we get new details, we'll continue to keep you updated. This was an active shooter incident, according to the Baltimore Police, unfolding just around noon today. So as we get more information, we'll be sure to let you know right here on Fox Local. I want to bring you closer back here to home as police are investigating a triple shooting, and we're learning a little bit more as to how this unfolded. Our Annie Mapp has been following up. And Annie, I understand that it was a birthday party that led up to all of this.
Yes, Ariel, good afternoon. We're told by DeKalb County Police that they responded here to Bluebird Lane around 2 in the morning. We also showed up to that scene shortly after and were able to talk to witnesses who say a birthday party was happening at this short-term rental home that you see right behind me. Again, this was a situation where police say they responded and discovered 3 men had been shot outside of the home. They were all taken to area hospitals. One of them did end up dying at the hospital due to his injuries. The others, we are told, had moderate injuries and are expected to be okay. But as of now, police haven't shared whether a suspect is being questioned. They also haven't identified any of the victims in this incident. We were able to speak to witnesses who say this was all so random. Some of them who attended this party and say they don't recall seeing any sort of argument or something that could have possibly sparked a fight or shots to be fired. Just take a listen to what one of those partygoers said.
Out of nowhere, a group left, and then after that, shots started to happen. Shots started happening. And what did you do? I ran to the bathroom. I ran to the bathroom. My homegirl was with me, thank God. We was holding on to each other. She was with me.
Yeah, and you heard just how the situation left people who were inside that home ducking for cover. We've been speaking to neighbors today. They say the gunfire also woke them up out of their sleep. They describe hearing several shots. Of course, this caused a large police presence to be in the neighborhood for several hours. Ariel.
Annie, incredible situation, police investigating, like you said, and really heartbreaking from the standpoint that sometimes you just don't always know who's going to be at a gathering, and that can lead up to a situation like she said, one group left, and then the next thing you knew, she said violence was happening. So definitely hoping to get more answers from police. Before I let you go, anything stand out on this? Questions you're really working to get answered today?
Yeah, so we have reached out to some different short-term rental companies to see if they can offer any sort of statement because, again, we're told that this property was rented out specifically for the party that was going to be happening last night that went through the morning, of course, until these shots were fired. So we're still waiting to learn more, and of course we want to know if a suspect is being questioned, if someone is going to be facing charges in this situation, and lastly, we don't know the identity of that victim who lost his life.
Annie, thanks for letting us know where we stand in the investigation and the questions we're trying to get answers. I appreciate it. We'll let you get back to gathering information and check in with you later this evening. As we continue here at 2 o'clock, I want to tell you guys about a story that we first covered here yesterday with our Kevin Stewart. A 12-year-old girl who was beaten has now died, and her family's just devastated and searching for answers. This is a 12-year-old Mason Creek Middle School student, and her mother says that she suffered injuries after a fight with another student after getting off of the school bus. The girl was identified as Jada West, and I see some of you here in the chat on TikTok asking about Jada West. And I can tell you, for those asking, she was yesterday, we learned, declared brain dead, and now she has died and her family is preparing for her funeral. But let's go through what we know, because if you're unfamiliar with this story, we heard absolutely devastating words from her mother as she was just grieving the loss of her daughter. The 12-year-old student was getting off of a school bus and reportedly in a fight with another student, and this happened off of school property. Villa Rica police are said to be investigating the incident. West's family is really trying to figure out why the girl was allowed on that bus. The girl who they believe hurt Jada was on that bus, as she does not live in that area. But school officials say the incident didn't happen on campus and happened outside of school hours. We've seen videos circulating on social media showing West fighting with another student. And although it appears she was able to walk away after the fight, she was later rushed to a hospital soon after because of her injuries. And one thing to keep in mind as well, yesterday, Kevin Stewart shared with us that the family asked him not to include that video in his story. They didn't want it circulating or for more people to see that, so he made sure to respect their wishes. So if you have seen that on social media but not here on Fox 5, that's why. Villa Rica police and the district attorney's office are examining those videos from the fight. They're trying to figure out whether or not charges are warranted. And like I mentioned, West's family has asked that that video not be shown. Some of you, saying poor baby, prayers to her family. Absolutely devastating situation, and understandably, her family just wants to understand why and how this happened. So as we get those answers, we'll let you know right here on Fox Local. If we have more information as well as to ways you might be able to help the family, we're going to post that right here on Fox Local in case you want to get involved with it. As we continue here at 2 o'clock, I also want to let you know that police are searching for a man who's believed to be missing. So take a look at your screen, because this is the man in question. He's 43 years old, and Atlanta police believe he went missing after his work truck was left abandoned. His name is Michael Bruce Clinkscales, and his employer discovered the vehicle at the end of his shift on Boulder Park Drive. Investigators are trying to figure out where he is. He's a resident from Lithonia, and his truck was found abandoned in southeast Atlanta. So if you see him, you know who he is, give police a call as they try to find him. He's about 6 feet 2 inches and weighs 200 pounds. As we continue, I want to let you know about a story that we've been following here as it relates to President Donald Trump and Fani Willis, because this is interesting. A Fulton County judge has ruled that District Attorney Fani Willis cannot interfere in President Trump's efforts to recoup court costs. And those court costs are related to that ill-fated prosecution of the president and several of his allies here in the state of Georgia. Willis wanted to intervene in the president's effort to recoup more than $6 million in legal fees, $16.8 million to be exact. And that same judge kicked Willis off of the special election interference case due to her romantic relationship with special prosecutor Nathan Wade. A new Georgia law now allows the president and others to be able to recoup attorney fees and costs in cases where prosecutors are disqualified for improper conduct. And since District Attorney Fani Willis was disqualified for improper conduct, now the president and others are working to recoup their legal fees from those cases. Willis is appealing the ruling, so we'll be sure to let you know of any updates right here on Fox Local. Something happening today, a special election is underway, as voters are going to get to choose a successor for former Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene's seat. This is Georgia's 14th congressional district. And our Ray Urena is out live speaking with voters and getting a sense of how things are going. Ray, thanks so much for joining us. Let us know a little bit about what you're seeing this afternoon and what voters are telling you.
special election is one that's being watched across the nation by both Republicans and Democrats. And throughout the day here at the Rome Civic Center, that's where we're located, we have seen a steady stream of voters going inside and picking between 17 different candidates in this special election. And that encompasses all parties. President Donald Trump carried the 14th congressional district by double-digit points when he was reelected in 2024. Some of the notable candidates looking to replace Marjorie Taylor Greene include Republicans Colt Moore, who is a former state senator, and District Attorney Clay Fuller, who has been endorsed by the president. Meanwhile, Democratic candidate Sean Harris is once again running for the seat after losing to Greene by nearly 30 points in 2024. Republicans are looking to build on their majority in the House of Representatives, while Democrats are looking to chip in to their advantage. We spoke to voters today about the race, the decision that lies ahead of them, and who they want to represent them in Congress.
One of the problems I think the Republicans have, we have a lot of good people and a lot of people interested. It's, completely the opposite at times when you only have one or two, but we do have a solid base and a lot of people that could fill the shoes.
Someone who is going to better represent the area that we live in and be able to address some of the issues and not be so much of a political puppet, but to actually work for the people, be more transactional.
And the polls today are going to be closing at 7 o'clock today, but if none of these 17 candidates get the required 50% or more today, then there will be a runoff election that's scheduled to be held next month. Ariel.
Ray, it's so interesting to see so many candidates running for this seat. And with so many candidates, it's hard to imagine anyone is really going to get that majority to avoid a runoff. Do you feel like, based on your research, speaking with voters and things, a runoff could be likely?
It could be likely, Ariel. That's definitely the case here. Typically, when you have this many candidates, it's hard for voters to rally around 1, 2, 3 candidates to get them over the hump, to get the 50% plus one that's needed for this runoff election. So I would say this is likely heading to a runoff, but as we've learned, you can never really tell when in politics in situations like this.
Ray, any final things you think people should know about voting today or this seat before I let you go? Anything else that you didn't get a chance to touch on?
Yeah, just make sure to bring your voter ID. Make sure you're showing up to the right polling location. We've had a few people throughout the day show up to the Rome Civic Center when they were assigned to a different polling location. So you can definitely recheck where your polling location is at the Secretary of State's website, just to be sure you are showing up to the right place, and make sure you have your ID with you. But in regards to the number of candidates, people say that's been a daunting thing for them to face, just being faced with that much choice between 12 Republicans, several Democrats, independents, and libertarians on the ballot. So that's just some of the other things that we've been noticing throughout the day, Ariel.
Really helpful, Ray. Definitely want to check where we need to head before we get out the door. So thank you for that. Appreciate your reporting. And of course, we'll see you here later this evening. As we continue at 2 o'clock, let's move here nationally, because as of right now, we are awaiting White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt to step out to the podium and begin to brief members of the press and media. She has not come out yet as you take a live look at the briefing room. If I see her come out, we'll try to pop in and listen to what she has to say. No doubt we're going to hear more about Operation Epic Fury and the United States war with Iran. And that is because today is believed to be one of the most intense days in the war with Iran. We know that the United States military is striking more than 5,000 targets so far, deeply affecting Iran's ability to fight back. The Pentagon says the focus on destroying Iran's nuclear capabilities continues, and Secretary of War Pete Hegseth says the United States is determined not to fight an endless war, and that the United States has the firepower to get this job done. In an address today, Hegseth says the United States is focusing on dismantling Iran's ballistic missile program and destroying their Navy and industrial bases. He says that today will be one of the most intense days of strikes inside the country. President Trump says the U.S. is accomplishing its goals faster than predicted, but it's keeping one thing that the president's monitoring is keeping oil tankers moving through the Strait of Hormuz. It's a top priority for the White House, he says, and he says he's threatening to hit Iran 20 times harder if they do not let oil pass the strait. Meanwhile, questions do remain over a strike at a girls' school in Iran. More than 150 people were killed, many of them children. And while the Pentagon is still investigating, early reports blame an errant United States missile. Secretary Hegseth says the United States does more than any other nation to avoid targeting civilians. He says other regimes fight by targeting civilians and America does not. Secretary Kennedy, a Republican from Louisiana, says the department is investigating, and he apologized for this error, saying it was a mistake. Despite the United States' progress, we have not seen an end or a timeline given as to an end with the fighting in Iran. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Dan Kane, says Iran is adapting as this war rages on, but he says the United States is adapting faster. Let's take a listen to his address this morning.
We're in the 10th, moving into the 11th day of Operation Epic Fury. The Joint Force remains focused on 3 military objectives: continue to destroy Iranian ballistic missiles and drone capability in order to prevent attacks on the U.S. and others throughout the region. And this means attacking launch sites, command and control nodes, stockpiles before they can threaten our personnel, our facilities, and our partners. Second, we continue to strike the Iranian Navy and their capabilities in order to do things like sustain movement through the Straits of Hormuz. And third, we continue to start working on and going deeper into Iran's military and industrial base in order to prevent the regime from being able to attack Americans, our interests, and our partners for years to come and project power outside their borders.
Is the General Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, briefing on the situation in Iran. And some of you have asked, how do we know a United States missile is to blame for that strike on an Iranian girls' school? And this video I'm about to show you is one of the reasons why that is believed to be true. Investigative group Bellingcat says this new footage, quote, and you're taking a look at it full now, contradicts the White House's claim that Iran was behind the strike. And that's because this video shared to Bellingcat shows munitions seen falling on a building, showing dark plumes into the air, and that smoke mixes with some earlier strikes from the compound. A researcher with Bellingcat says the munition was a Tomahawk cruise missile, which only the United States is known to have in this war. Israel has denied conducting that strike, but that school did neighbor a Revolutionary Guard base in the country's southeastern region. So it's believed to have been a mistake at this point. And as we get any new information, we'll be sure to let you know. At this point, I've seen Caroline Levitt has stepped up to the podium. Let's listen in live as she briefs.
Thus far, and America's warriors are winning this important fight at an even faster pace than we anticipated. More than 5,000 enemy targets have been struck so far. Iran's ballistic missile attacks are down more than 90%, and their drone attacks are down by approximately 85%. Since the start of Operation Epic Fury. The United States is also annihilating the Iranian regime's navy, and we have destroyed more than 50 Iranian naval vessels, including a major drone carrier ship. None of the regime's vessels are operating in major regional waterways, and the Iranian navy has been assessed as combat ineffective. The trend is clear. U.S. combat capabilities are increasing and growing more lethal and dominant by the day, while the Iranian terrorist regime's ability to respond has rapidly declined. Now, the U.S. military is moving to dismantle Iran's missile production infrastructure. Our incredible B-2 bombers recently dropped dozens of 2,000-pound penetrator bombs on deeply buried missile sites. Last night, President Trump reiterated his commitment toward keeping oil flowing through the Strait of Hormuz so the United States and all of our allies can receive their energy needs. President Trump will not allow rogue Iranian terrorists to stop the freedom of navigation and the free flow of energy. Let me be clear. It is a good thing to wipe out terrorists who indiscriminately target civilians and attempt to hold the global economy hostage. And President Trump should be commended for doing so. As the president made unequivocally clear to the remaining elements of this terrorist regime in his statement yesterday, if they do anything to stop the flow of oil or goods within the Strait of Hormuz, they will be hit by the world's most powerful military 20 times harder than they have been hit thus far. Moving forward, the stated objectives for Operation Epic Fury remain the same. Destroy the terrorist regime's ballistic missiles, raise their Iranian missile industry to the ground, ensure their terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region, and ensure that Iran never obtains a nuclear weapon. President Trump remains
confident as White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt speaks about some of the goals and objectives regarding this war with Iran. As we continue, I want to let you know what the president is doing to try to bring oil prices down, because you just heard White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt allude to this. The president is floating removing sanctions on some countries to bring down the cost of oil. And one thing that we're starting to see, of course, gas prices going up. But with this campaign against Iran in its second week, we're now seeing some of the greater effects. Gas over $3 a gallon. And according to AAA, the national average for a gallon of gas was $3.47, nearly up 50 cents compared to a week ago. Reports suggest the United States and Israel were not on the same page with Israeli strikes on Iranian oil deposits over the weekend. Those strikes created huge fireballs in Tehran and smoke plumes that could be seen for miles. Administration officials are hoping those images don't rattle the markets too much. The war has essentially stopped traffic in the Strait of Hormuz, which transits roughly a fifth of the world's oil supply. President Trump has also suggested the United States could, quote, take it over to get things moving again. But the president says the United States is going to offer, quote, political risk insurance to get those tankers moving again through the strait, and will eventually have them escorted by United States warships if necessary. I also want to quickly update you guys on whether or not you are eligible for a tariff refund. I've seen some of you guys ask about this in the chat here over the past few days, where we stand with tariffs and whether or not you could see any money from refunds. So the question is, did you pay a tariff in the past year or so? You could be entitled to a reimbursement, but you're going to have to jump through some legal hoops and possibly wait for Congress to act to get any sort of reimbursement. Last month, the Supreme Court struck down President Trump's most widely used tariff tool, and now the race is on for refunds as big companies like Walmart and Amazon are trying to get their money back. But it's not just big retailers. Millions of consumers are now asking the Treasury Department to reimburse them for tariffs on items worth $800 or less. That's easier said than done because the Treasury Department hasn't said how much of the tariff revenue it's collected was covered by the Supreme Court's ruling. So this is leaving customers to seek refunds directly from businesses. There's already at least one class action lawsuit underway with FedEx customers suing FedEx for tariff refunds. And on Monday, another lawsuit was filed aimed at stopping the White House from imposing a global 10% tariff. President Trump is pushing back, of course, saying that those tariffs are a big part of his foreign policy strategy. Some companies like UPS and FedEx do say they're going to refund customers, but only if and after they get reimbursed by the federal government. As always, we'll keep you updated right here on Fox Local. As we continue here at 2 o'clock, coming up, we're going to check in on your weather forecast with meteorologist Alex Forbes. Felt a lot of rain last night. What's in store for the week ahead? We're going to chat about it. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstad here with meteorologist Alex Forbes. Alex, I heard the thunder and the rain last night. I felt like we might have been in a May or June thunderstorm.
It certainly felt like it outside. We saw that line of storms really begin to push into northwest Georgia. It was really losing its punch as it came through metro Atlanta, which 2 thumbs up, right? And never want that to happen here. And then even more so as it worked its way down south and east. But even though it was a cold front, you're looking at these temperatures now going, where's the cold?
Happening?
Yeah, 76 now in Atlanta. So the front didn't really bring a lot of cool air with it. But just wait. I'm going to show you some numbers at the end that are going to make you cringe. All right. 76 in Atlanta, 79 in Covington, 81 now in Eatonton. I expect to warm maybe a couple more degrees here through the afternoon. Not a ton, though. We'll say 77, 78, somewhere in there for a high temperature before we begin to cool into the evening hours tonight, down into the 60s across north and central Georgia. So 79 is what I've got for Atlanta as a high temperature today. 78 in Dalton, 82 in Eatonton, 80 over in Rome, and then into the night tonight, back down into the 60s. Average low is 45. So all of this still way above the norm. Then for tomorrow, hour by hour, how about that? 82 is what I've got for a high temperature, which would actually tie a record high. That would be the 4th time this month, just since March has started 10 days ago, that we will have either tied or broken a high record. Again, that is tomorrow afternoon. Let's get over to the radar picture. I do think a couple of showers will be possible this afternoon, not necessarily likely. An isolated heavy downpour, maybe a couple rumbles of thunder. Say a summertime light variety, if you will. If they had diet summer storms, that's what this would be today. But a bigger picture here across the southeast, not a whole lot going on. That is going to change, though, here in the days to come. So really tomorrow, we've got this severe weather outlook out to the west and to the north. So from D.C. over to Cleveland, down through Louisville, Memphis, and into the Houston area, level 2. Notice north and central Georgia included there in that level 1. All right, so really northwest Georgia rather than north and central Georgia. It's basically from Blairsville down through Canton, Marietta, and Carrollton. You're going to see a line of storms push in that we'll track hour by hour here in just a moment. First, let's get a closer look at some of these severe weather risks. So there's your severe wind risk. It's as low end as it gets, right? It's going to be a bigger deal to our northwest. Likewise, the hail risk, really not all that there unless you're walking the dog on top of Lookout Mountain as we work our way through Wednesday. And then the tornado risk, northwest Georgia, we'll keep an eye on. But again, that's as low end gets. So we're going to have this front that's up to the north and west. You know, there's noon tomorrow, no front yet. It's really going to be an overnight Wednesday into Thursday type of thing. Sun sets, the sky is still mostly clear. There you go to midnight, 4 a.m., you get the remnants of the front pushing in. So not looking for a big time spring event for us like they're looking at, say, in Nashville or over in Huntsville or back into Memphis. We're going to get the remnants of it, which is still not nothing, but it's something that we don't necessarily need to keep the closest eye on. And that's actually the system that's getting going today, which we'll talk more about here in just a minute. Let's get on over here to your Fox 5 Storm Team 7-day forecast. And you're going to notice that we reach 82 tomorrow like we were talking about, but then look ahead to next Tuesday night.
Oh,
34. And I tell you what, Jude, if we could pull an audible and hit the weather key real quick, because I see this is up. Check out St. Patrick's Day morning. These are going to be your temperatures and wind chills.
Why does it always do this? I like St. Patrick's Day. There is always like some last minute cold front.
Yeah. Well, it's March, right?
Yeah.
You know, so you think back into October, you get these big cool downs and then it warms back up. This is the springtime version of that. So if you have St. Patrick's Day plans, I think St. Patrick's Day is going to be pretty cold here in the metro. We're going to start off likely near freezing, wind chills down into the 20s, probably getting into the low 50s through the afternoon.
And I will say, I mean, the temperatures here lately breaking warmth records. I think in early March, it's, I don't really want to break records in early March. You know, we've got a lot of summer to get to, and no doubt Atlanta will keep us warm here soon enough. So I would like just a nice temperate 60 or 70. Is that too much to ask?
This year, yes.
Apparently so. We live on the extremes.
Just enjoy the next couple of days. You know, I think that's the big takeaway from this. And, you know, you might remember over the past couple of weeks, we've been talking about not planting yet.
Yeah.
That's the reason why right there.
That makes sense.
Is because we still can get freezes. In fact, this city's one of the biggest impactful winter storms in this city happened in the month of March.
Yeah.
So
that's a good
that's
point.
Just how it goes around here.
Really interesting too, because I feel like when you get the whiplash effect, the back and forth, the hot, the cold, that opens us up for those severe weather chances with those different temperatures of air.
So whenever you get that, you know, it warms up and then cools down really quick, you typically get a cold front. When you get a cold front this time of year with the energy clashing, it's all connected. That's when you get the storms.
Alex, thanks so much for keeping us updated on everything. I want to turn our attention to some weather news in America's heartland because over the weekend we saw tornadoes rip through, and this devastated America's heartland over the weekend, killing 8 people and hurting a dozen more. Communities are trying to work through the recovery efforts before the next round of severe storms. With more potential tornadoes this week, the National Weather Service confirmed 18 tornadoes barreled through towns from Michigan to Oklahoma, with 8 rated for EF2 or EF3, meaning they had winds between 111 and 165 miles per hour. Severe storms destroyed homes, downed trees, upturned cars, and thousands were without power or even running water. Communities are trying to support each other and assess the damage. Michigan's Governor Gretchen Whitmer declared a state of emergency on Sunday. This was to unlock funds needed to get the recovery process up and running. She says state and federal resources are now available to help people start to rebuild, and there could be more damage ahead. Another round of possible tornadoes could hit America's heartland through the center of our country again by midweek. So this is something we'll continue to keep you updated on. But it's interesting considering the fact that we are in March and we are approaching this severe weather season. So probably a good time to start getting prepared, making sure that you have necessary supplies and your house is ready for something like this. As we continue here coming up, we are going to check in with our Tyler Fingert about a story. It's very interesting. A small church dealing with some nuisance dumping on its property. We're going to talk about how they're trying to fix this and what's happening coming up next. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being here. We've got Tyler Fingert sitting here with us. Very quickly, before we move on to Tyler's story, I see someone here asking on TikTok, where was this? Assuming that you're asking about the tornado video we just showed you, a lot of that was from Michigan and even Oklahoma, as we saw tornadoes rip through these states here throughout America's heartland over the weekend. We learned a 12-year-old boy was among those killed. So we'll keep you updated on the situation. But for those of you wondering where that was, Michigan and Oklahoma is where this video was captured.
Devastating damage.
Absolutely, Tyler. Crazy to look at. But as we continue here, I want to get to your story because a local church is facing some damage after I understand someone's been dumping some tires illegally. when I think of this, I just don't think of a church as being a place I would dump my tires.
So they're like a wooded area.
Okay.
They kind of are in off a beaten path. And so it made it kind of easy, I guess, for this person to decide that they were going to use Pleasant Hill Victory AME Church as a place to just dump over 100 tires, according to the pastor. They say they were shocked to find someone turned it into an illegal dumping site, especially the cemetery. They say that they discovered this on March 4th, and so they're assuming it happened overnight on March 3rd, so just last week. And the church and its cemetery date back a century, with generations of families buried there. And Pastor Lola Russell says that makes the illegal dumping especially more painful. After the story was posted on social media, someone in the community stepped forward and removed the trees for free. With the trees now gone, with the tires now gone, not trees, tires now gone, they're obviously found some damage left behind, so they've launched a GoFundMe to repair the damaged graves. You can just see some of the video that they captured when they discovered all of this. It was just dumped all over the area out there. So now they have launched that GoFundMe to hopefully repair the damaged graves and add security measures like cameras to make sure something like this doesn't happen again. Take a listen to what the pastor said about their reaction to finding those tires.
It was just a distressing, disappointing, sad, and even a grief-filled moment to recognize when she took a video of it that someone actually had invaded the space, a sacred space, had come onto the church grounds and not only jumped tires, and they should be dropped on anyone's premises, but then to move it onto an area or intentionally take it to an area where there are grave sites, and some even tilting over some of the headstones, was unimaginable.
And so as we were reporting, they have been around for basically a century, and this is a small one-room building. They are a tight-knit congregation. They say they're getting older, so it's not like it was just easy for them to say, hey, I'm going to go remove those tires. First of all, there's the cost to it, but thankfully someone in the community stepped up to be able to remove them for free. They heard the story, saw the story on social media, and that prompted this person who owns a company that hauls away junk to come on out there and pick them up over the weekend. And so they're grateful for that person. They did launch that GoFundMe, as I mentioned, $4,500 raised so far. They're hoping that more money can come in, and it's lifting their spirits, if you will, that people are in the community are noticing that they are struggling and that they are dealing with this problem, and they are donating and want to help put some cameras up. They've gotten in the past different quotes of how much it would cost to put some cameras up. And so they're going back to those quotes right now so they can hopefully prevent something like this in the future.
Yeah, with this money and the community support. It's just so disrespectful to think that someone would want to dump their trash near a church, and especially places where people are resting. You know, it's their final resting place, and this happens. So when I'm understanding that they obviously came across these tires and were devastated to see that this had happened, and then trying to think about how they were going to clean it up. How many times has the dumping happened? Do you know?
So for these types of tires, it was just the one time last week, but they said they've had other issues of dumping in the past.
Hence
but
the
not,
need for cameras.
But not in that specific area in the cemetery. Normally it's in the wooded area, they said. And so obviously, yeah, as you said, a cemetery is a place of peace and remembrance, and then having something like this. I mean, look at that mound of tires, and you can see one of the headstones right there, and there's more under there. And I just want to read one of the quotes that's going to be in our story later on at 4, 5, and 6. I wasn't able to cut it for this hit with you, Ariel.
Sure.
She said, "It's disturbing that in times we live, people do not care, or a person does not care about the sacredness, the sanctity of life, and the transition to death, which we all will face one day."
Yeah.
And so it's just truly...
you think about yourself or your loved one there, and no one would want to see, I'm going to, generalize here, but I'm going to guess, no one would want to see trash or tires dumped in a spot like that.
You want to see flowers.
Yeah, exactly. Items of respect, not this. So, Tyler, thanks for letting us know how the community is rallying behind this church and ways we could get involved if we choose. So, appreciate your reporting, and we'll look for more later this evening.
And can I mention, we're going to put that GoFundMe on our website, fox5atlanta.com, and once we're done live streaming, or if you're about to head off, we're going to put it on our Fox Local app as well.
Awesome. Tyler, thanks for the update. I appreciate it. Guys, let's switch gears and talk about a situation that unfolded in New York. So this is an ongoing investigation, and today we're learning that police are investigating a suspicious package outside of the New York mayor's mansion, dubbed Gracie Mansion. But their FBI and NYPD are also actively investigating 2 devices thrown at a protest Saturday afternoon outside of Gracie Mansion. This all happened when a clash broke out between anti-Muslim protesters and counter-anti-Nazi protesters near the New York City mayor's home. 2 men are charged with supporting ISIS after they attempted to set off homemade explosive devices. The devices did not detonate, but they were thrown at anti-Muslim protesters outside of Mayor Mamdani's residence. He and his wife were not home at the time. But no one was injured. Commissioner Tisch, New York City Police Department's commissioner, says one of the devices contained TATP, which is a volatile explosive material which could have injured or killed people. A 3rd device did not test positive for explosives. Amir Balat and Ibrahim Qayoumi are the 2 men who were arrested outside of Gracie Mansion. They were arraigned in federal court in Manhattan yesterday. Their charges include attempting to provide support to ISIS and use of a weapon of mass destruction. They are being held without bail. Balat's attorney claimed the 2 suspects do not know each other. He said that they are from different parts of Pennsylvania, different age groups, and are not known to each other. The NYPD says it does not believe this incident is connected to the attack on Iran via the United States and Israel. I also want to let you know about that lawsuit between Live Nation and the Justice Department. If you feel like you are dealing with a monopoly when it comes to Live Nation and Ticketmaster, that's what this lawsuit was essentially alleging. And now we're taking a look at this years-long battle being resolved in a settlement. The Justice Department and Live Nation could be reaching this settlement, but multiple states are pushing back on the agreement. This was an antitrust trial that threatened to separate Live Nation from its subsidiary Ticketmaster. Under the terms of the deal, Live Nation must divest up to 13 of its amphitheaters and reserve 50% of tickets for non-exclusive venues. In addition, Ticketmaster is going to offer its technology to third-party companies like SeatGeek and StubHub, allowing them to offer primary tickets through the platform. This comes after a years-long battle in which the DOJ and 40 states accused Live Nation of operating an illegal monopoly over the concert industry. The companies maintained its artists and teams set the prices and decide how tickets are sold. Live Nation is also required to pay around $200 million in damages to participating states. A number of states involved in the case have signed on to the agreement, but others plan to seek a mistrial. New York's Attorney General says she's going to continue with the lawsuit, saying that they want to continue fighting the case without the federal government so they can, quote, seek justice for all of those harmed by Live Nation's monopoly. The judge in this case said no one informed him of the deal until last night, and he plans to address the motion for mistrial in court. So we'll continue to keep you updated there. As we continue here at 2 o'clock, it is 2:44. I want to get to a really cool story here coming up. We're going to go chat with our Chris Rosenthal about a group of students that's trading parties for service this spring break. Chris Rosenthal is going to talk about what university they're from and why they decided to do this coming up next. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being here live with us at 2 o'clock. It is lovely to have you. Our Chris Rosenthal has a really unique story today. And Chris, you know, when I think of a story like this, students trading spring break parties for spring break service, you got to hand it to them.
Yeah, absolutely. About 50 Howard University students are here spending their week here, their spring break week here in Atlanta. Doing volunteer work, an alternative spring break, if you will. They're volunteering at schools, at where I'm at here today at the Boys and Girls Club of Metro Atlanta. Earlier today I was with them at William Boyd Elementary, where they were reading with students and helping stock the pantry there, and you know, really out here to do a lot of good during their spring break. And I'm joined right now by one of those students, by sophomore here, Madison Lewis. Madison, thanks for joining us. Tell me a little bit about this alternative spring break. What is this about here?
So Howard University Alternative Spring Break is a program under the chapel. It was founded by Bernard Richardson, and the director is Joseph Dillard. They are the dean and assistant dean of the chapel. It's a student-led program, free for students to just come out and do community service. I have the honor of serving as the public relations strategist. So I started working with the steering committee in August, the actual first day of school. The director started working in May. So we've been working on this for a while, and it's our job to build the program to make sure that every student a part of the program will be able to make an effective impact in the communities we are serving alongside.
And as far as that impact goes, I mean, what are some of the, what are you guys doing? I see right now you guys are working on some gardening here, but tell me about some of the programs you guys have been involved with here.
So every site has a specific initiative. Atlanta, Georgia's site is youth holistic wellness, as well as focusing on food impact. So with studying Atlanta and the communities inside of Atlanta, we've noticed that we just wanted to pour into the youth as well as the communities who don't have the opportunity to have all of the food necessities that they desire and need.
Hence, you know, earlier they're stocking the food pantry at William Boyd Elementary, and here you're working on a garden. Tell me a little bit about that.
So we're able to serve alongside the members of the Boys and Girls Club. The members of this community don't have access to different stores that provide organic fruits and vegetables, so we're working with the students to make sure that they have the accessibility they need to organic fruits and vegetables.
What does this mean to you guys? I mean, this is your spring break. You could be at the beach, huh?
The assistant dean, Joseph Dillard, has a saying, and he says it's bigger than me. I chose to be on the steering committee. Last year I was a team leader my freshman year. It's my sophomore year, and I chose to be a part of the steering committee that puts this whole program together because I wanted to pour into communities. I'm actually from Atlanta, so this means more to me than words can actually describe, because I'm pouring into my home, I'm pouring into the generations that will come after me, and although we're only here for a week, this is something that is going to be carried on for generations to come.
And only a week, but a lot of locations you guys are going to. Tell me about some of the spots that you're hitting up.
So we have 22 sites. A couple other sites other than Atlanta, Georgia is Aiken and Wilson, South Carolina, Asheville, North Carolina, Louisville, Kentucky, Washington, D.C. We're all over America.
Wow. 1,300 of you all, right?
Yes, 1,300 students.
1,300, and all grades, freshmen to seniors, huh?
Yes, freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. All majors, all ages. We came together to serve during our spring break.
Awesome. Well, I see you guys getting these gardens ready, and then I think you'll be bringing the students in, the young men and women in here a little bit later to learn about gardening, learn about where food comes from, huh?
Yes, I'm so excited. We're going to be planting. We're going to be just preparing their gardens so that later on in the season they're able to plant their fruits and vegetables. So the Howard students, we're already working on getting their beds ready for the vegetables, so when they come in, we're able to start working with them.
Gotcha. And what does the rest of the week hold for you guys?
The rest of the week, we're going to be at elementary schools. We're going to be at food banks. We're also going to be at just different community service organizations that are already established to just serve alongside of the community.
Wonderful. Madison, thanks. We'll hang with you here a little bit more through the afternoon. Yeah, I mean, these students, like you said, there's about 50 of them here in Atlanta, but 1,300 across the country, these Howard University students. really giving back to the communities here.
Yeah, Chris, it's really lovely to see this, and a wonderful way, I mean, to think about when you consider your college career and look back on spring break. Time spent with friends is going to be memorable, but the times you spent with friends giving back to someone else, I feel like this is something that they'll carry with them throughout the rest of their lives.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, some of them I've talked to have done this, you know, several years in a row. I mean, it's something that they have to sign up for, and you know, well in advance, and do a lot of preparation for. So, yeah, it's kind of an honor for them to be part of this.
I would imagine so. Wonderful, and love seeing the gardening at work just in time for spring. For those who are just now joining us on our live stream, Chris, can you tell us a little bit real quick just where you're at and what they might be planting?
Yeah, this is the Boys and Girls Club of Metro Atlanta off of Peoples Street, and they're getting these planting beds ready. They'll be bringing some of the kids in, you know, after school. They'll be coming here and they'll be talking with them about planting and about food, and they'll be growing, you know, some various food plants so that they can have, you know, that sort of sustainability. And Madison was talking earlier just about how some of these areas have a hard time getting good, healthy food deserts. We always hear about those. So, you know, by planting some healthy, fresh fruit and vegetables here, I mean, for one thing, you know, students can learn that food doesn't always come from a grocery store. This is where it really comes from, and they'll have these supplies to have with them.
Chris, wonderful opportunity. Love seeing them at work. This is awesome. I wish I could come out there with you and join them in getting our hands dirty and planting some good things for the upcoming season. Really lovely, and big kudos to these college students for spending their spring break giving back to organizations here in Atlanta and across the country. So, Chris, I'll let you get back to it. I know we'll see you here upcoming at 3. Thanks so much for joining us live. As we continue, you guys, I want to keep you updated on some other things we're following. You may have already heard about this, and I want to catch you up to speed in case you haven't, because the Magic City Monday night at the Hawks game has been canceled. That was scheduled for next Monday. And at this point, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver has officially canceled the event. He says it came after significant backlash from league stakeholders. The Atlanta Hawks had a planned celebration called Magic City Monday for the celebration of all things Magic City and Atlanta culture. T.I. was going to perform during the half at the Hawks game, but one of the things that the NBA commissioner said is that he was hearing a lot of controversy and a lot of pushback from others involved with the event, so they made the decision to cancel it. He said significant concerns were raised by fans, league partners, and employees. The Hawks have described Magic City as a cultural institution and said there would be no adult performances during the basketball game. Rather, there would be Magic City's famous lemon pepper wings, as well as music and entertainment. Magic City is known for being a big proponent of Atlanta's music scene, and so that was something that they were trying to show during the game against the Orlando Magic. But the Atlanta Hawks said that they respect the commissioner's statement, and despite the disappointment, they respect his decision to cancel. And they said that they fully respect its decision, and as a franchise, we remain committed to celebrating the best of Atlanta with authenticity and ways that continue to unite and bring us all together. So we'll continue to keep you updated. We know that Atlanta rapper T.I. will still perform at halftime. Wings will still be available for fans to purchase, but this Magic City Monday branding and promotional event is no longer happening. So if you want any more information, we have it on our website, Fox Local and fox5atlanta.com, within our news app, so you can get the latest there. If you have tickets, you bought tickets once they went up for Monday night's game, that's going to be interesting to see how they handle that. But as we continue, I want to keep you updated on something else that's pretty bizarre, because a lot of us can relate to leaving something behind in an airport. And I'd like to take you through some of the items that some airports have seen left behind. We're actually going to talk about this on the Pulse upcoming tonight. Travelers have reportedly left millions of items at airports last year. And one retailer is sharing some of the items that they've discovered. The thrift store, Unclaimed Baggage, has a purchasing agreement for unclaimed items with domestic airlines. And it's released its third annual Found Report for baggage left unclaimed in 2025. And you're taking a look at some of these items. Last year's highlights include eccentric items like a fully assembled robotic unit, a $10,000 gold diamond grill, which you just saw, a fire poi, a beekeeping suit, and a traditional style dejero. Other items included unclaimed samurai swords. Man, who thought they could take that onto a plane? A meteorite and a bionic knee. You're taking a look at that beekeeping suit. But the most expensive find was a Rolex watch, estimated to be worth $43,000. Wondering who might have left a $43,000 Rolex behind? Are you okay? Well, a handful of unusual items were also left, including a fake skeleton, giant stuffed goose, and a suitcase filled with rat poison. So, just incredible. We're going to talk about this more coming up at 7 o'clock on the Pulse, because I'm curious whether or not you guys have left an item behind at the airport. Did you get it back? That is the question. We'll discuss more. Well, upcoming here at 3 o'clock, we've got a lot of new stuff on our way. Tom Haynes is getting ready to join us, and we're going to talk about the news headed our way at 3 o'clock. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being here.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. I'm your host, Tom Haynes, for the next hour. Appreciate you so much streaming with us this afternoon as we get you caught up on all the day's big stories. Among them, we're live at the state capitol this afternoon, where the U.S. Agriculture Secretary is today, talking with lawmakers there as Georgia farmers struggle to recover from hurricane damage and fuel prices are soaring. Let's get out to our Deidre Dukes, who is standing by live. Deidre, you were there for all of this, and you also got the chance today to speak with Governor Kemp. What did he say?
That's right, a very busy day here at the state capitol, and so I'm going to break it all down for you. We're going to start with the USDA Secretary, Brooke Rollins. She made an appearance in both the House and the Senate today. She spoke to lawmakers before holding a news conference here with the Georgia Department of Agriculture head, and she made a big announcement. She announced that the feds are partnering with the Georgia Department of Agriculture to award some $531 million in grant money to the farmers and other agriculture industry folks who were impacted by Hurricane Helene last year. She also addressed the impact the Iran-U.S. conflict is adding to the economic strains that our U.S. farmers and, of course, farmers here in Georgia are facing right now. And here's what she had to say.
We are looking at every potential opportunity to support our farmers and our ranchers, especially right now. We don't know exactly what that would look like, but even this morning I was talking to 2 other cabinet members while I was making my way to Georgia this morning on what that could look like. We understand the pain in the countryside. We understand, again, this is an existential issue for the future of America and keeping America safe. We understand that we want American farmers farming and American ranchers ranching, and they can't do that with the cost of inputs as they continue to skyrocket. So the answer is we are looking at every possible option.
Of course, very early in that process, and already those in the agriculture industry here facing a great economic strain, and so this would only, with rising fuel prices and the like, be adding to that. But again, that $531 million block grant, those monies certainly will provide relief to many. We're told that applications for the grant opening on Monday, March 16th and closing on April 27th. Also, Tom, today over in the House, lawmakers there approving a $38.5 billion budget, their version for fiscal year 2027, and that spending prioritizes early education with major investments in literacy and education. That includes about $60 million to boost literacy efforts for school systems statewide, and that is something that really is a hallmark of what the House has been working on in this budget. They're very proud of what they have worked out there. It also includes money, we're told, coaches for early grades, literacy coaches, and health screening grants for students, providing monies for vision and hearing screening equipment for students. Very important there. Also, some of the budget monies include money for healthcare access and rural hospital support, because we see there's a great need for doctors and other medical professionals in our rural communities in particular. And so they allocated some funding there for that as well as allocating millions of dollars in funding for rural hospitals in general. So a lot of work there. The House Speaker talking to us following that vote, and here's what he told us.
The House's unwavering commitment to our neighbors in every corner of this state. We're looking forward, as this process continues, to working alongside the Senate, Lieutenant Governor Jones, and certainly Governor Kemp, to deliver a final budget that is reflective of the needs of our state and the investments that are needed to keep Georgia moving forward.
Now, we also had the opportunity to talk to Governor Kemp today, reporters asking him a lot of questions about a lot of different things. And I'd say the most important or significant thing that came out of that during that media gaggle is on gas tax suspensions. There have been talk about questions about whether or not the governor thought it might be time to suspend the gas tax as our fuel prices continue to rise. He did say that he is holding off on suspending the state gas tax for now. He said to avoid overreacting, in his words, to short-term oil market spikes, and he is closely monitoring global markets and geopolitical events. So again, no plan at this time to suspend the gas tax, but saying that he is monitoring the situation closely, Tom.
Deidre, you know, it's the price of gas is something on all of our minds. You know, the cost of living, inflation, all of this sort of stews together as we reach summer and then the lead up to the 26 midterms. So you got to think that the governor has his eye on that. Prices now at the pump hovering around $3.30-ish cents a gallon, I guess, depending on where you are in the state. But with the president coming out yesterday in his news conference saying that he foresees sort of a wind down in the conflict in Iran, perhaps that is the motivation behind the governor taking kind of a wait and see approach before he suspends that gas tax, I guess using that only in emergency type situations.
Yeah, it would make sense, Tom, your theory there, because we have seen when the governor has opted to take advantage of that option and to suspend that gas tax. As he said, he just is taking a very careful wait and see mode right now, just to see where things stand right now, how long this plays out. You'd have to think that that is something that he would seriously consider, possibly take action if we see this continue to go on for weeks on end and prices continue to climb.
All right. Deidre Dukes, excellent reporting as always from the state capitol this afternoon, where we had a couple of high-profile visitors there, the governor and the agriculture secretary among them. Deidre, thanks so much. As we move on, we want to talk about a major blow for Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis. A Fulton County judge has ruled that the disqualified DA cannot intervene in President Trump's battle to recoup legal fees. The judge making that ruling today, Judge Scott McAfee, ruled her office is wholly disqualified from challenging the $17 million reimbursement claim made not only by the president, but others in his circle who were part of these charges are also going to seek to reclaim legal fees as well. Under Georgia law, the president and his allies are seeking the taxpayer dollars after the case collapsed. Willis already signaling that she will appeal, however, that judge making that ruling today. Voters in Northwest Georgia headed to the polls today to choose a successor for former Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. We're talking about 17 candidates on the ballot in the deep red 14th district. It's something that the White House has had its eyes on. You remember the president visited there not too long ago, visiting a manufacturing plant and a cafe, talking with voters up there, making his presence known as voters head to the polls. The Trump-endorsed District Attorney Clay Fuller pushing for an outright win here. Not interested in going into a runoff, which is very likely with so many candidates. The race likely to head to an April 17th runoff if that were the case. 3 other state legislative races also on today's special election ballot, but the one we're watching is that seat up in the Rome area to replace Marjorie Taylor Greene. Well, from social media sensation to Georgia candidate, we're talking about a controversial Georgia politician, Tiffany Henyard, who has now qualified to run for the Fulton County Commission. So a lot of things coming together here in that race. Kevin Stewart has the surprise move to the Republican ticket. Kevin?
Been here very long, about a year or so, we understand, and she qualified to run for District 5, which is largely South Fulton County. And she has been the only person to qualify on the GOP side of the ticket. And this is largely a Democratic district, but she will face off whoever wins the Democratic side of that ticket. What's particularly interesting about her is that you may be familiar with her even though she's new to the area, because she is a social media sensation because she's got a big personality and she is typically involved in a whole lot of drama back in Chicago, where she's from, the South Chicago suburbs. She was a mayor there, and she lost her race in February of last year after years of controversy, in particular controversy over her spending habits with taxpayer money. In fact, the FBI investigated her in 2024, but so far no charges have come out of that. We talked to a political expert, a political scientist from Emory University, Andrea Gillespie, about her take on all of this. Take a listen.
being able to establish residency here in Georgia. In order to qualify for office in Georgia, you have to be a registered voter. You have to have lived where you're going to run for at least a year, and you can't have any felonious convictions or something that would have been a conviction of moral turpitude. So, you know, in that respect, the fact that she just registered to vote a little over a year ago. So my understanding is that the election that she lost in Illinois was on February 25th, and she registered to vote here in Georgia on February 27th, would give her the qualifications in order to meet the letter of the law in terms of what the standard is. But when people are choosing folks to, you know, serve and hold a position of public trust, you know, it is understandable that many of them would actually want to know who this person is. And so when you've only been in a community for a year, it's not clear that you've had enough time to really become a known quantity in the community. And so it's up to voters to decide whether or not they want to elect her to the Fulton County Commission.
So in addition to her controversial past, Dr. Gillespie believes that the fact that she hasn't been here very long to develop connections is going to be a bigger issue than even the fact that this is largely a Democratic audience here in South Fulton County. We did try to reach out to the GOP party for Fulton County, but so far we have not heard back from the chair or the first vice chair. And of course, we did try to reach out to Ms. Hinyard, but so far have not heard back. Tom?
There are so many questions here, Kevin. Primarily, you know, her motivations as a politician. She failed to win re-election as the Dalton, Illinois mayor. Now she's down here in Georgia trying to take this Fulton County Commission seat, as you said, in a largely Democratic district, running as a Republican. The question is, you know, what her strategy will be. Obviously, she knows how to gain attention for herself, and then, you know, whether she'll be able to translate that skill into attracting votes in her run for the Fulton County Commission, what her message to voters will be, why they should vote for her as a Republican rather than going with what has been the political instincts of that district to vote Democratic. So it'll be an interesting one to watch, and who her competition might be.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. There are several Democrats already on the ticket. Of course, that is Marvin Arrington Jr.'s seat. He's running for the chair at this point. It's really going to be interesting because, as you noted, she is very controversial and talented in terms of her ability to talk to people and get on social media. And if you followed her at all, you know she refers to herself as the people's mayor, and she seems to be a very down-to-earth person, kind of tells it like it is, and that certainly has allowed her to develop some connection with people, but certainly it's hard to do that in a new community. So it'll be interesting to see how she tries to navigate that, particularly because also we understand that she actually has been a longtime Democrat. She switched parties when she came here, maybe to clear a clear lane, doing her homework before coming in and getting into this race, realizing maybe she has an easier shot there. And Dr. Gillespie made a point to say that without a doubt that whoever wins on the Democratic side, they're going to hit her hard on not just the controversy in the past that anybody could Google, but the fact that she is a short-termer, or how people used to describe back in the days, a carpetbagger. And
wow.
She is somebody who is certainly new coming and will have to prove themselves.
That's a really, really good point, Kevin. The fact that, you know, she's new to Georgia politics, coming out of Chicago, which is, by the way, you know, a rough and tumble area for anyone to run for office. I mean, she'll certainly have her bona fides as a politician that's been there, done that. I guess the question is whether, you know, she can convince traditionally Democratic voters of that district to switch teams, so to speak, and convince them to vote for her, and why she can chart the way forward in Fulton County. Really, it's going to be an interesting one to watch.
Personality counts for a lot of things. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
It sure does. And an electorate that's willing to forgive, all right, for past controversies. We don't mind a little controversy in our candidates as long as they're speaking our language, so to speak. All right, Kevin Stewart, live for us with this fascinating race out of Fulton County. Kevin, it's one we're going to watch. Thanks. Want to take you now to the White House, because the press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, spoke not too long ago You know, our attention has been on the wind down of the war in Iran, or whether it's going to wind down anytime soon, because we're certainly feeling the financial punch of the war in the form of higher gas prices, oil being able to move around the world freely, and the markets. I can't see the markets right now, but the Dow has been on a wild ride the past week and a half based on, you know, the price of oil and the war in Iran. So the press secretary addressed a lot of that today. Let's listen in.
Let's begin with some scheduling updates. Tomorrow, President Trump will travel to the great states of Ohio and Kentucky, where he will tout his economic victories and detail the administration-wide efforts to continuing lowering prices to make everyday life more affordable for working Americans. The president will visit Thermo Fisher Scientific in Ohio and give remarks at Verst Logistics in Kentucky. On Thursday, President Trump and the First Lady will host a Women's History Month event in the East Room. And on Friday, the president will sign several executive orders, and we will provide more details on those later this week. As President Trump shared with the American people last night, the United States military is making tremendous strides towards achieving our military objectives for Operation Epic Fury. 10 days in, this campaign has been a resounding success thus far, and America's warriors are winning this important fight at an even faster pace than we anticipated. More than 5,000 enemy targets have been struck so far. Iran's ballistic missile attacks are down more than 90%, and their drone attacks are down by approximately 85% since the start of Operation Epic Fury. The United States is also annihilating the Iranian regime's navy, and we have destroyed more than 50 Iranian naval vessels, including a major drone carrier ship. None of the regime's vessels are operating in major regional waterways, and the Iranian Navy has been assessed as combat ineffective. The trend is clear. U.S. combat capabilities are increasing and growing more lethal and dominant by the day, while the Iranian terrorist regime's ability to respond has rapidly declined. Now, the U.S. military is moving to dismantle Iran's missile production infrastructure. Our incredible B-2 bombers recently dropped dozens of 2,000-pound penetrator bombs on deeply buried missile sites. Last night, President Trump reiterated his commitment toward keeping oil flowing through the Strait of Hormuz so the United States and all of our allies can receive their energy needs. President Trump will not allow rogue Iranian terrorists to stop the freedom of navigation and the free flow of energy. Let me be clear. It is a good thing to wipe out terrorists who indiscriminately target civilians and attempt to hold the global economy hostage, and President Trump should be commended for doing so. As the president made unequivocally clear to the remaining elements of this terrorist regime in his statement yesterday, if they do anything to stop the flow of oil or goods within the Strait of Hormuz, they will be hit by the world's most powerful military 20 times harder than they have been hit thus far. Moving forward, the stated objectives for Operation Epic Fury remain the same: destroy the terrorist regime's ballistic missiles, raise their Iranian missile industry to the ground, ensure their terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region, and ensure that Iran never obtains a nuclear weapon. President Trump remains confident these goals will be accomplished in swift fashion. As for the oil, President Trump fully expected the rogue Iranian regime to try and disrupt the global markets. That's why President Trump and his energy team have been planning for this.
Are you listening to Caroline Levitt, the White House press secretary, updating us on the war in Iran, saying that if Iran tries to disrupt the flow of oil through the Strait of Hormuz, they will suffer, in the press secretary's words, some severe consequences. The president warning Iran not to do that. We're still sort of waiting on what an endgame in Iran looks like, and the speed at which the conflict with Iran can draw down, and who the new leadership in that country might be. The president is indicating that the Ayatollah's son, who just assumed that position, will not be acceptable to the United States. We have some new footage, speaking of the war in Iran, of a hit on a school in that country, and a new report from the investigative group Belican, which appears to contradict White House claims regarding that deadly strike on an Iranian girls' school. The group identified the weapon as a Tomahawk cruise missile. This, according to that investigative group, a munition exclusively used by U.S. forces in the conflict. The video shows the moment the school was hit next to a Revolutionary Guard base, killing over 160 people. While President Trump had previously blamed Iranian forces, this new evidence put forward by Bellingcat Group points directly to an errant U.S. strike. This investigation sure to continue as to how it all went down. Democratic lawmakers, as you can imagine, not happy with that particular strike, demanding answers now. Today, Senators Mark Kelly and Richard Blumenthal from Connecticut spoke to reporters before heading to a classified Senate Armed Services Committee briefing on Operation Epic Fury. Let's listen to part of what they had to say.
Certainly about the girls' school that was hit by a Tomahawk. The president has given some statements that just don't make a lot of sense about possibly the Iranians having a Tomahawk missile. It doesn't seem like he knows what he's talking about. But also about the desalinization plant, other targets, and then interceptor rounds compared to what they have in the case of ballistic missiles and drones, and how do we restock them?
Do you have a sense of how much this war is costing U.S. per day?
Well, I'm just, that's a question we're going to ask in there. We've seen estimates of, $1 to $2 billion a day. These are public estimates. I've also seen like the first 2 days was about $5 billion just in munitions.
I want to know who is picking targets in Iran who may be responsible for killing 175 school children with a Tomahawk missile. The administration has failed to answer questions about the attack on that school, which seemingly resulted from a United States Tomahawk missile, but most importantly, the list of targets, what the end game is here, the timeline, and what the costs are going to be, not only in immediate terms, but longer term for our economy. The rising cost of gasoline is just one sign of impending economic chaos.
All right, two Democratic senators on Capitol Hill before they go into that classified briefing on Operation Epic Fury, speaking about that strike on the girls' school in Iran, demanding answers as to what in the world happened. Was it a Tomahawk cruise missile or not? This investigative group, as I mentioned, said it was. The administration is disputing those claims. But at the end of the day, over 160 students were killed. So answers are being demanded of lawmakers and others as the war continues. When we come back, we're going to take a look at our weather. Turned into another nice day out there after some overnight showers and storms. Meteorologist Jonathan Stacy is here to tell us what the rest of our work week is going to look like and if we can expect more rain on the way. Happy with you. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. Tom Haynes, joined by meteorologist Jonathan Stacy, who's been watching a little bit of a wild weather week so far, Jonathan. A lot of people rattled awake by the thunderstorms that rolled through here. And we're kind of wondering if this pattern, I guess, so to speak, to use one of your guys' words, is going to continue throughout the work week.
Unfortunately, it will. For some, they're glad to see the rain, but for many others, it can be disruptive and inconvenient. It's been quite the tumultuous weeks of swings around here. So that said, we're on the uptick now. Temperatures have risen into the 80s. We're back. The 80s are back, and they'll be back again tomorrow. Let's roll through the numbers here fairly quickly. As we go throughout the next few hours here, you'll find that we'll loosen our grip on the 80s, and we'll drift down into the 70s, enjoying an extra hour of sunlight in contrast to last week. So by 8 o'clock, we're still hanging on to temperatures in the mid 70s. Our chances for rain just completely go off the board as we get into the overnight hours, going into the wee hours of your Wednesday morning. Wednesday morning starts out around 64 degrees here in Atlanta, 60s area wide, and then the numbers will grow back into the 80s. The record stands at 82 degrees. We will likely tie or break that record. So my forecast, 82 degrees for a Wednesday. Wednesday starts off fair and calm, pretty clean. The radar will look much like this tomorrow. However, as we look out to the west, we'll find that moisture is moving in, and that moisture will give way to our next round of storms. By Wednesday evening, will look like the clouds will start to thicken up and they'll gray up a bit. But it's really Thursday morning before the sun comes up that we'll find that there's a risk for significant wind gusts that could be damaging. Also a lower risk for hail, and then also a very, very small risk for spin up tornadoes. Let's work the clock here in your hour-by-hour forecast. You can see here the majority of Wednesday is dry but very breezy as winds rush in out of the south and the west. Then a cold front comes to town, but ahead of that front are some showers. I think we are dry from beginning to the end of the day. It's in the midnight hour that a line of storms will roll through, and they'll first enter the northwestern quadrant of the state, slant it to the north and to the south. They'll be moving southeast as we go throughout the morning hours. A nasty and damp commute for your Thursday morning. By Thursday afternoon, northwestern Georgia experiencing some clearing. That clearing rolls into the metro area by 4 o'clock, and then by 6, we're all said and done. So here's how it shakes out in your Fox 5 Storm Team 7-day forecast. It looks like the ire is set on Thursday morning for another roll and tumble. By the time the moisture gets here, I think it will just be a heavy rain across the metro area. A drier end to the day, but look at the temperatures, Tom, languishing in the 50s all day long. And then we're starting out the morning with a bit of a chill in the air. 39 degrees for Friday morning, sunshine back by the afternoon. Temperatures in the 60s for highs, but then we'll grow that number by 10 degrees as we wake up or get outside on a Saturday. Saturday, obviously the pick day of the weekend, because another round of storms moving through by Sunday. For those of you who have been really tired of the drought, there are a lot of agricultural concerns and fears that are, necessary, especially when you can see how long we've been in the drought, or consider how long we've been in the drought. Many of you wanting some healthy doses of rain, and this forecast definitely serves that up.
I don't know if you looked at my piece of paper or you were just reading my mind, but can you read what I wrote down while you were talking about your forecast?
Wow. We should work with Wheel of Fortune together. He said a healthy flow of rain.
I wrote down healthy flow of rain because when you were talking about the rain moving through the area, like we got a little last night, we're going to get a little on Thursday, we're going to get a little on Sunday. I'm like, wow, this is a really sort of healthy cycle we're in right now. I write it, you say it. We're on the same page here.
We've been doing
folks.
this for a little while.
Now, just real quick before you go, on Sunday, is that going to be one of those like washout type days, or is it just passing thunderstorms?
We have to let some time pass before we get a really good handle on what will happen on Sunday. I'm gaming for Sunday evening. It could potentially be a Sunday night going into Monday ordeal, but sometimes these things like to speed up, and so it could have more of an impact on our daylight hours on Sunday if it arrives earlier. But at this point, I'm gaming on us getting outside and enjoying the first half of the day. Clouds coming in, blinding some of the sunshine, but most of us should be inside by the time the big stuff comes.
But Thursday morning is kind of the wet, chilly, soggy
Yeah, that's
day.
going to be the most impactful day in the forecast as I see it. And then it will be a bit of a shock to the system considering how warm that we've been for many communities to be starting out below 40 degrees on Friday morning.
All right, Jonathan, with the healthy flows of rain coming through the area, like-minded, right? Appreciate it.
Peace.
I want to talk about the devastation in the heartland. People still digging out after a tornado rolled through that area, an outbreak of them. 8 people were killed over the weekend, and just look at what was left behind there. People still cleaning up the mess. The National Weather Service confirming 18 twisters struck from Oklahoma to Michigan, including a record-setting EF3 tornado in Union City, Michigan. The governor up there, Gretchen Whitmer, has declared a state of emergency as thousands remain without power amid catastrophic damage. Residents now racing to clear debris before another round of severe storms and potential tornadoes takes aim at the same region next week. So it's just, you know, we often put pictures like that on TV, but just don't appreciate how much beyond the death and destruction, how much it takes for those folks to recover. I mean, it just looks like scorched earth there after those tornadoes rip through. That's a recovery process that is going to take years in parts of the heartland. Moving on, a birthday celebration ends in tragedy after a deadly overnight shooting in DeKalb County. This video in from overnight. Police say gunfire broke out about 2 this morning during a party on Bluebird Lane. 3 men were shot outside the home. 1 has died. 2 others recovering in the hospital with moderate injuries. Again, this happened in DeKalb County overnight at a birthday celebration. Witnesses described running for cover inside bathrooms as those shots rang out. Investigators haven't released a motive or identified any suspects, but they're asking if you have any information to please come forward and text your anonymous tips to the DeKalb Police app. They say it is easy to do. Heartbreak, meantime, in Douglas County, as a 12-year-old middle schooler has died days after a fight near her bus stop. This is a story that has been obviously trending on social media because of the circumstances surrounding what happened to this 12-year-old girl. Apparently, Jada West's family says that the Mason Creek student suffered a fatal brain injury after an altercation with another girl off school property. This happened last Thursday. Her mother now demanding answers, specifically why the other student involved was on that school bus despite not living in that neighborhood. So it appears there are some bizarre circumstances surrounding this death. Villa Rica police and the DA are reviewing cell phone video of the fight to determine if charges will be filed. But at the end of the day, this altercation left 12-year-old Jada West dead from brain injuries after a fight with another student. When we come back, we're talking World Cup, folks. It is not that far away at this point. It's coming up here in June, so only a couple of more months as the city gets ready. A new World Cup Play Fair is opened in Atlanta, and we're going to talk to our Angelique Proctor live right here about what it's all about after the break. Hey everybody, welcome back to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. So happy you're with us this afternoon. I'm Tom Haines, live with you here in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom, bringing you up to date on all the stories making news today. Appreciate you streaming with us, whether you're on your mobile app or you're at home watching on your television through one of the live channels, or on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram at Fox 5 Atlanta. Happy you're here too, where we monitor those sites and listen to your feedback as these stories continue to roll in. Or if you're listening to us on the radio this afternoon at 107.9 HD2 FM, certainly glad you're with us today. Atlanta is gearing up for the World Cup. It's coming up here in just a couple of months. Some are pushing city leaders to prioritize what they characterize as human rights, from housing to major concerns over conditions at the Fulton County Jail. All right, so let's get out to Fox 5's Angelique Proctor. Angelique, with these folks using sort of the World Cup high-profile event to call attention to those things.
That's absolutely right. Good afternoon to you. There is a lot of excitement in the air about the World Cup, but this coalition of labor as well as human rights and housing organizations says Atlanta is woefully ill-prepared, and they are talking about the Human Rights Plan of Action for this upcoming FIFA World Cup. Now, the name of the organization is Play Fair Atlanta, and they represent some 30 different community-based organizations that want to make sure that human rights are protected, not only during the World Cup, but always. They say they've had numerous meetings with the mayor's office and the city about this over the months leading up to this, but they say when that plan came out yesterday, they say it was really all fluff, and those are their words. They say there were no protections for workers in it, no protections for human trafficking victims or the unhoused. Take a listen.
More robust protections for people who could be negatively impacted by a mega event like the World Cup. So, for example, worker protections, right? We know that a lot of money is going to be made during the World Cup. Contracts are going to be handed out. Are we ensuring that contracts are going to employers that don't have a record of labour violations? Are we ensuring that people are going to be paid a proper, fair wage during the World Cup? Are we ensuring that people are not going to be trafficked or exploited? There's nothing in the Human Rights Action Plan that does that. It's very surface level. It's not tied to any legislation. It's not tied to any policy changes. And it really leaves vulnerable people left out to dry.
So that's who they are concerned about, the most vulnerable in our community. Playfair Atlanta says they are finding allies, though, with some Atlanta City Council members. That's one of the reasons that they addressed one of the committees this afternoon, the Community Development and Human Services Committee. They say the long-term plan is to keep residents and visitors out of the Fulton County Jail, especially during the World Cup.
There is a gap between what the City Council is doing and what the Mayor's office is doing when it comes to World Cup preparation, and that's very evident when you see this document. We would like to see a moratorium on homeless evictions during the World Cup. We would like to see better protections put in place for the immigrant population. None of that is referenced in the document. Atlanta has a plan called Downtown Rising, which is supposed to eliminate homelessness in the downtown area in advance of the World Cup. The challenge that they face is that they're doing these evictions and they do not have enough housing units for people. And so the question then happens, okay, what happens to the people when you don't have enough houses, right? Either they stop doing the evictions or they keep doing the evictions and people end up incarcerated. If people end up incarcerated, which is what happened in 1996, which is what we suspect might end up happening, then people are going to end up in Fulton County Jail.
And so Fair Play Atlanta does not want to see a repeat of what they say happened in 1996 when many of the unhoused were actually arrested and sent over to the jail. So they are trying to be proactive and prevent that from happening this time. Now, Councilman Matt Westmoreland actually chairs the Human Services Committee. He tells me this afternoon that the committee will have a World Cup work session on April 21st at 2 o'clock, and hopefully these two sides can get together and get a working plan that everyone is pleased with, because of course we want everyone's rights protected when the world comes to Atlanta. Some 300,000 visitors, Tom.
Yeah, you remember, Angelique, as well as I do, that when the Olympics came through here in '96, you know, these types of high-profile events give cause to organizations like that for the better. I mean, obviously, some sort of compromise will be reconciled between what these city leaders and organizations want for people who are homeless. We saw them cleaned out of taken away from rather the underneath the downtown connector and relocated. And we know that the mayor is trying to clean up downtown Atlanta and make it, you know, a destination for, as you say, people coming in from around the world. I was taken by the gentleman who you interviewed's accent. He sounded either Scottish or Irish, and I'm wondering, not that you can't be from Atlanta and have a Scottish or Irish accent, but is he also working with, is this an organization that's sort of working with all host cities to underpin, you know, the desires of local city councils as the World Cup comes through?
No, he is actually an Atlanta activist. I remember when he was working with the Color of Change. And so he has been here in our community, and he is working to improve the city of Atlanta. One of the things that he said is that the FIFA World Cup demands this human rights action plan. And so he says he's only following that international playbook, and he expects Atlanta to come to the table and put, as he called it, more meat on the bone to actually address these issues before our first match in June.
Well, if there's the time to do that, it's now, as we knock on the door of the World Cup coming through here in just over a couple of months. Angelique Proctor live in downtown Atlanta. Angelique, thanks so much. As we continue here, 2 Pennsylvania men facing federal charges this afternoon in an attack on Gracie Mansion in New York, or at least what authorities are calling that. The FBI says that Amir Balat and Ibrahim Qayyumi threw homemade devices toward a crowd and ultimately Gracie Mansion during this protest on Saturday over the weekend. Investigators revealed that one device contained volatile explosives inspired by ISIS ideology. Mayor Zohran Mamdani was not at home at the time. Fortunately, the devices failed to detonate. Both suspects are now being held without bail on weapons of mass destruction charges, but kind of a scary situation out of New York City in the wake of these weekend protests when, according to authorities, these 2 men hurled explosive devices at Gracie Mansion. A high-stakes antitrust battle over the concert industry reaches a breakthrough as Live Nation and the Justice Department reach a settlement. This has been going on for quite some time. The deal stopped short of breaking up Ticketmaster, but does require Live Nation to divest 13 amphitheaters and open its technology to competitors like StubHub. These are supposed to make tickets more affordable for consumers. The company will also pay $200 million in damages. However, several states, including New York, are rejecting the deal, vowing to continue their own lawsuits against the alleged monopoly. The judge is expected to address motions for mistrial in court later today. From diamond grills to beekeeping suits, the latest data is out on the millions of items travelers left behind at airports last year. You've heard of these places that collect baggage and then sell the items ultimately. They put them up for sale. Retailers called Unclaimed Baggage just released its 3rd annual Found report for 2025. Sometimes you can find some little gems at these places. Most of the time it's just people's clothes, all right? And the misfortune of them losing their luggage and never claiming it. Among the weirdest finds, a fully assembled robot, a bionic knee, and even a meteorite. The biggest ticket item was a Rolex watch valued at $43,000. Not everything glamorous. Workers also stumbling upon a suitcase filled with rat poison and a giant stuffed goose. How bizarre is that? When we continue, we got a lot more still ahead. Our Chris Rosenthal is going to join us with what is being characterized as an alternative spring break for some local college students. Forget the beach or going to Europe or whatever. They're here locally learning some really invaluable skills. We'll talk to Chris live when we come back. Forget the beach for spring break this year. We're talking about more than 1,000 Howard University students in Atlanta this week taking an alternative spring break. What does that mean? Chris Rosenthal is on People's Street with how these students are mentoring local young people. Chris?
Yeah, Tom. So, yeah, I'm at the Boys and Girls Club of Metro Atlanta here on People's Street. And yeah, about 1,000 or so, about 1,300 to be exact, Howard University students are taking their spring break, going across the country, doing, volunteering for their communities. And 50 of them are here in Georgia, in the Atlanta area. It's local schools, nonprofits, places like the Boys and Girls Club. They're actually here now painting and working with the kids. Can't really show the kids because of privacy issues, but I am here with Madison. She is one of the students here with Howard University. And just tell me about what you guys are doing this whole week, the spring break.
So our service is focused on the youth as well as any holistic wellness. So right now we're at the Boys and Girls Club and we're actually painting pots. So the members of the Boys and Girls Club don't really have access to organic fruits and vegetables. So they're given the opportunity here at the Boys and Girls Club to grow their own organic vegetables. So we're painting pots, getting to know them, having conversations, pouring into them, and hearing their stories as well as sharing our stories. And the pots that we're actually going to paint, they're going to be able to stay here. They're going to grow their own vegetables, their own fruits, that they're able to take them home.
And it must mean a lot to them to have, to have Howard students like yourselves here mentoring them and maybe inspiring them a little bit, huh?
Yeah, I would say it's equal. It means the equal amount to us as well, being able to pour into generations that are after us, we don't know what everybody's going through, and no matter how old you are, everybody has a story. So to be able to share our stories with the kids and to be able to hear the kids' story as well, it's a blessing all around.
And, not just here. Earlier today, you guys were at William Boyd Elementary School and reading to students, working with their food pantry. I mean, talk to me about some of the other locations you guys are going to be at this week and what else you guys will be doing.
So this week, my group, we're split into 4 groups. So my group is a group of 10, and yesterday we actually went to Open Hand. So Open Hand is an organization that packages food for individuals in the Atlanta community. That was an amazing experience. I'm actually from Atlanta, so I've heard of Open Hand. And this is the first time I've actually been able to volunteer. I've tried numerous times, but just with schedules and traffic, it was the first time I actually got into the building and I was able to just embrace the culture that I've been exposed to my whole entire life.
It's spring break. You guys are college students. Why not just go to the beach or someplace like that?
Honestly, the beach is always there. We're only here at Howard University for 4 years, and I was a team leader last year, so being able to be a part of not only the actual service, but to be a part of the pre-planning, because I have the blessing to serve as the public relations strategist. So being able to form this trip and this really mission, not only for the students, but for the 22 sites that we're at, is just amazing.
22 sites across the country, one of them here in Atlanta. It's been a little while since you guys have been here, so why Atlanta?
Honestly, why not Atlanta? Every place in America has communities, everybody needs help. So if we were able to be at all 50, that's what we would be doing. But our mission that the executive student directors came up with this year before we started the school year in August was service with impact. So every single site out of the 22 sites was intentionally picked because we wanted to make sure that the mission service with impact was followed through.
Gotcha. What does this mean to you?
I can't really put words into it other than it is a blessing. It's bigger than me. I don't know the full impact that I'm having on these communities, on these students, as well as my peers. We have time to reflect at the end of dinner every day, and being able to reflect on what we've seen, what we've been through, what we've acknowledged as individuals, but also as a team, it means more to me than I can put into words.
Yeah, and a lot of planning goes into this. About a year or so you guys put into this to apply.
The executive student director started in May. Yeah. The steering committee started in August, and every Monday we have meetings. We have team leader retreats Saturday. We did a radiothon, so the steering committee had to get up around 6 a.m. So we did 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. We were out on Georgia Avenue embracing the community around Howard because they were pouring into us to fund our program.
All right, well, Madison, thanks so much. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
It's been really exciting watching them all day, and they'll be here all week in Atlanta. Volunteering across schools and nonprofits across our Metro Atlanta area.
It's just an incredible life lesson that these kids are going to walk away with, not only for the college kids, but for the younger generation that they are mentoring. So many more memories and richer memories than going on spring break, that it's a feel-good experience and a way for them to certainly give back to the next generation. Chris Rosenthal live on People's Street. Chris, thanks so much. I want to take you now to some pretty incredible live pictures coming out of the Philadelphia area from our Fox station, Fox 29. Take a look at what we're talking about here. This is a garbage barge which is engulfed in flames. And you can see what's happening now with these live pictures. Looks like, for the most part, this fire is out. How can I tell that? Well, whenever you have white smoke emanating from a fire, that means it's pretty much under control. It erupted this morning on this, what is being characterized as a scrap metal barge floating in the Delaware River. So obviously the hoses are trained on it, and they have gotten it under control. What started it, we just don't know, but obviously a pretty serious situation up there in the Philadelphia area. That is going to do it for us here for the 3 p.m. streaming hour on Fox Local. I'm Tom Haines. Don't go anywhere. The news is going to continue right here, right now.
Fox 5 News at 4 starts right now.